Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you doing this fine Wednesday evening? We're doing a Wednesday show. Can you believe it?
Going back to the old days, having a Wednesday show.
I know. We haven't had a Wednesday show in almost a little over a year, probably.
Long time. Long time.
It's been a long time since we've done a Wednesday show. But for those of you who are new to the podcast, who are new to the live stream, we welcome you here with open arms. This is an all Islanders podcast and live stream that occurs every single Saturday around that 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time period. If you're new to the channel and you like the content that we produce, you find it funny, entertaining, or you find it insightful, if you enjoyed it at all, make sure to do a few things. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. At any time we do like a emergency podcast or a live podcast like this that is outside of our normal scheduled time period, you get a little bing notification bell anytime we go live, and also hit the thumbs up button. If you hit the thumbs up button, it lets myself, the grumpy old man, and know that you like the content that we produce. And also it helps juice the algo. It helps get this podcast out to the masses. So hit the thumbs up if you like the content. One more piece of housekeeping. We do have an all sports podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. You can find that in the link in the description below, or as a featured page here on our YouTube channel. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, and it's myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and the Magnificent Son X talking anything and everything sports. So that's things like all NHL, that's NFL, that's college athletics, that's MLB, that's, NBA, right? That's ML. Yeah, literally world football. It's literally anything and everything sports on that show. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It can be found in the link in the description below here. Grumpy, man, yes. Things are great, man. Things are great in Islanders Nation. You talk about a fantastic few podcasts in a row, Grumpy. Last episode, we were talking about our replacements for Lou Lamoriello. The dark, ominous cloud of Lou is finally gone. And look, we don't have a show last Saturday. I was out traveling with Son X. And look at this. We win the NHL Draft Lottery, and we'll be having the #1 overall pick in the 2025 NHL Draft, Grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
The fact that you only know 2 buttons on that stupid machine of yours is still embarrassing. Okay?
I've only got 6 buttons to utilize. Okay.
Well,
so I know
you only have 2. Yeah. It's funny. Is this the most exciting offseason the Islanders have had since maybe drafting John Tavares?
No, I think this is probably the most exciting offseason since Lou came. When Lou came, you got to remember, when Lou came, it was definitely an exciting time period. Now, it was more disappointing than anything because we didn't sign back John Tavares that year. That was a little disappointing. But We brought in Barry Trotz. We brought Sorokin over. Like, it was an exciting off period, I think, or off season. But
There's nothing like getting the first pick in the draft.
I agree with that. Yes.
And a fresh direction for the organization, not some old direction.
Potentially.
Well, from what has been said, Ken Holland is out as GM candidate. I want Bergevin. That's the guy I want.
Well, let's not just splooge all over the place.
Well, all right. I just mentioned something, and you went down some other.
No. You did that all on your own because you're half watching and half paying attention to the show per the usual.
God,
it's a typical grumpy maneuver. Let's talk, Grump. Let's talk a little bit about. I don't know. I want to talk about first the draft, right? Because that's big news, and then we'll talk about the GM candidates.
Okay.
Because there are some updates on that spot. It was funny in the. I don't know if you mentioned it on the show, but I know you kept saying, I just have this funny feeling, Grump, that you're like, oh, we're going to win the draft lottery. We're going to win the draft.
Told you. I had a feeling. Weeks ago. I said, Islanders are winning draft lottery. Remember that? I said it. I didn't know we'd get one or two, but I just had a feeling that we were going to get that draft lottery.
All those wins at the tail end to put us right in that magical spot of wherever we were selecting. Was it 10, 11, 12? I don't even remember where we were selecting. 10th to put us in that 10th spot allowed us to win this year's draft lottery.
And we had a 3.5% chance of winning. And when I saw we were there in the last year, I said that we're winning it. I know we are.
Well, did you find it funny and odd that they conveniently cut right before that, right to like commercial break? They cut the commercial break before like the reveal of the last balls.
Do
you think really quickly, I'm going to go schizo spiral for a second. It benefited us, this schizo theory that I've got. But conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat time, they took away the same day they announced essentially that they're not doing the All-Star game is the same day that we happen to win the NHL Draft Lottery. I don't know. Schizo spiraling is just like, that is very coincidental is all I've got to say on that.
Here's my other theory. We did the league a favor by getting rid of the vampire that was Lou Lamoriello, and we got rewarded. They took away the All-Star game, which we knew they were. So we got rewarded. I don't have a problem with it. I'm happy. Honestly, this is the most excited I've been to be an Islander fan for I don't know how many years. 4, 5 years.
Well, I was excited when we were making back-to-back cup run or back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals runs. I was excited during that time period. Everybody was.
Okay. I'm hearing some rumblings that a lot of Islander fans want James Hagens.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that because there are
one thing about the lottery. I did find it funny where they kind of zoomed in on that last number. They zoomed in on the actual apparatus itself.
I'm telling you, I think there was some tomfoolery that was.
It could have been, even though it was supposedly live. They had 3 people. They had 3 people standing by the clock. Some law firm able to figure it out. John Butchergrass did a great job as host. You had Bettman over there. You had some guy who was in charge of just pushing a button to suck up the number. And then some other goof. Bill Daly was there. And they had a guy staring at the screen, counting down from 30. And he's got his hands. He goes, "Ho!" Well, sorry. "Hoo!" And then they go, "Ho! Hit the button." And then Mr. Button Pusher pushes thing. I mean, I don't know how much money they paid those guys, but it seems like they could have saved themselves a couple of dollars by not sending 6 or 7 guys up there just to do that. I don't know. But I have to admit, I was freaking excited. I absolutely was. And I knew we were going to win. I knew. I was talking about it with our boy Philly Fiction. I've been talking about him for weeks. I said, we're going to win that draft lottery. I just had a feeling. Grumpstradamus, baby.
Yeah.
I think I even said so on the show that we were winning lottery. Did I not?
I don't remember. We do so many shows. Tough to remember.
And as I remember, you shot me down. Again, ridiculed me for even thinking like that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like me. I'm never like that. I never shoot anybody down, Grump.
Yeah, sure.
Anywho, yes, maybe you mentioned on the show, maybe didn't. Tough to remember that.
Do you remember who was my Stanley Cup dark horse pick going into the season? Do you remember?
You throw so much shit up on the wall, tough for me to remember.
Do you remember?
Maybe
Do you remember?
No, I
Do you
don't.
remember?
No.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Was that
Just
2
saying.
years ago and 3 years ago?
No. That was this year.
You say that every year, right?
This year. I don't say it every year. I said this year.
Okay, hold on. Just yesterday, you told me that there's no way Toronto beats Florida. There's no way Toronto beats Florida.
I said,
you
remember
yesterday.
Here's the thing.
You were just
every year I say the same thing. I should just go with my gut, like I stay at the start of the year because it always turns out to be right. I let the naysayers come in, the negative Nellies come in and tell me certain things. What's not gonna happen? It's not happening, Grubby. Never happening. I should just say they were my dark horse pick. I said, yeah, they're my pick.
No bullshit. Stop.
It's the truth.
You got it. You throw so much crap up there. Sometimes it's tough. Anyway, I don't want to make that about this. Simple as it is.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Think about this. Yesterday too, you said, man, Vegas went up to a 2-0 lead. Vegas knows how to play defense. They're not going to blow a lead like that against Edmonton. Lost 4-2.
They did. They lost 4-2.
Yeah, this is my thing.
It was 3-2 in an empty net. It was 3-2.
Grumpy throws so much shit up there on the wall around this time of year.
Aiden Hill let in a goal from Zach Hyman with just like 2 minutes to go. I'm like, oh, dude, you cannot give up that goal from that distance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I mean, they didn't generate enough offense. Anyway, okay, bringing this back to draft lottery. Okay.
Don't try to poo-poo because I get shit right and you get it wrong all the time. There's no just admit you're a failure. That's all. Nothing wrong with that.
Simple as that. Not true, Grumpy. Let's get back to it, though. Exciting times to be an Islander fan. It really is, because we've talked about the future of the team. We've talked about the direction we need to head into. I tell you this much. Winning the first overall pick, there's so many options that you have, and this could really catapult you into becoming a true Stanley Cup contender. And what I mean by that is you have pieces on this team. You've got your goalie in Sorokin, who's a solid. I know people are going to get upset about this, but he's a solid goalie. Look at some of the goalie play for these NHL teams in the playoffs that have a chance to go to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, where it's like, wow, their goalies are letting in cupcakes every single game. Well, here's the thing, because most goalies let in cupcakes every single game. Sorokin maybe lets in a goal like that every once in a blue moon. Simple as that. Anywho, we've got the goalie. We have defensive pieces around. We'll talk about if we draft what the defense looks like going forward, because Matthew Schaefer is, he's projected to go number 1 overall. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about Misa. Our forward group, right? We have players, maybe a Cole Eiserman steps in and can develop into a player. Maybe a guy like a Callum Ritchie can become a player. You've got Matt Barzal. You got Bo Horvat. You have pieces there. By winning this draft lottery for what was a really barren prospect pool, this allows you to instantaneously change that potentially.
Yeah. I don't know where we want to go from here.
Well, let's talk about the options first.
Okay. Good.
Let's talk about the options, what you would be happy with. We've won the number 1 overall pick. There's a few different ways we can go about this, and I wouldn't be upset with a few different routes. Grumpy, I'll let you take it from this point, because I'm sure that you've put together some Christmas morning scenarios, opening up, walking down the stairs, and you got the red tricycle on Christmas morning. So I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
The roster building is my favorite thing of the year.
Some like to call it rosterbation, but yes, Grumpy.
It's my favorite thing. Where I play, professional general manager, but amateur GM. And I'm like, what would I do in my situation? Okay, so I'm like, okay, we win the first round pick. I know a lot of Islanders fans are looking at James Hagens. I'm out on that. Absolutely not. There's only one way I take James Hagens, which I'll get to. I want the Schaefer kid. I've been watching highlights. That kid's phenomenal. He's absolutely sensational. And he's the youngest kid in the draft, too. He's only 17. He turns 18, I believe, in September. So
hold on. You flip-flopped. You flip-flop now, because what you told me on the day in 2 days, I don't want to interrupt you, and then we've got Phil here that's going to join us momentarily, but it seems like you flip-flop, Grumpy, but I wanted to ask you about that.
No, there's only one trade scenario where I would move off of taking Matthew Schaefer. Only one. And it was, you're crazy. You're never going to get that. Well, you know what? Then I'm not trading him. He's so much better than everybody else. He reminds me of Cale Makar, but bigger. I'm watching his highlights and I'm like, this kid can play, and he actually plays some defense. You put him and Dobson together, there's your number one pairing for 10 years. 10 years. And I don't even care if he plays this year. Send him back to juniors. I don't need him up here at just turning 18 years old during training camp. Don't need that. To me, full on rebuild. The rebuild is on now. This kid expedites a rebuild for certain. Now, that being said, I know management is hot for the Hagens kid. Okay. How can you get both? Well, I'm not interested in getting both because I'm not trading any futures. Just not happening. So here's my scenario. If and only if we can make this deal with San Jose, I make the trade. You make San Jose, no problem. You give me your, oh gosh, look at this. You could have shaved for our show, Phil. Really trimmed it up. What is going on? And he's got, look.
Well, come on.
Crumpy, you've got it.
Not that unkempt.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have popped it until I was done, but that's okay. That's okay.
Keep on target, huh?
That's okay. I'll pick on Phil and his shirt in just a minute.
Keep on target, please.
The only way I make that trade, the only way I say San Jose, Mike Greer, I know you're a horrible general manager. Maybe I can fleece you. I want this year's, the number 2 pick from you. I want your pick from Colorado this year at the bottom of the first round. And I want next year's San Jose first round pick. That's what I want. If you can't match that, we're taking Matthew Schaefer. Period. That's it. Okay. I want multiple or here's the thing. We can trade down to Chicago. Chicago give me a couple of picks. They can give me their number 3 because Hagen's going to be there at 3. And then give me next year's first as well as this year's, and then throw me in another one of your multitude of first-round picks that you have from deals. Those are the only moves that I'm making. I want two lottery picks in the next 2 years, and then give me another one. Otherwise, Matthew Schaefer, slap on that old Islander sweater. We're ready to go. No other scenario. There is no other scenario where I move him. We'll not one.
We'll have to keep
that kid is Cale Makar, but bigger. And better defender, too.
God almighty. You talk about, how they put out like these freezing cold takes and like these sour milk takes. When you make bold ones like that, like this kid's Cale Makar, but bigger. He's faster.
Better.
He's better. He makes Cale Makar look like he's in Pee-wees. Like things like that are just it's going to be bound to not.
Cale Makar doesn't play any defense.
I agree with that.
So okay. There you go.
Here's the thing I will say. There's a lot of 400-point-a-year
guy.
There are a lot of options. The Schaefer kid, the more you watch him, if you haven't started watching his clips yet, start watching. He skates really smooth. He's really good with his hands on the puck. He's a guy who it seems like a no-brainer at that point. And I'm sure Phil will go on to this too. He's young, very young of a player. He missed the cutoff for next year's draft by like 2 weeks. He's young for the age group. He's a guy that you could build around, right? Like that. I mean, it really solidifies the defense, I think. I'm not opposed to trading the selection if, again, the return is huge. The reason being is if somebody is willing, like a San Jose, they don't need another forward. They've got your William Smith. They've got like Celebrini. Who's the kid that they drafted 3 years ago now that's been playing? There it is, William Eklund. Yeah, they've got a lot of those type of players. From their standpoint, they don't need another forward. They've got the Dickinson kid, but he doesn't play much of defense. They need another defenseman. That's what they want to do. They've got the goalie in Askarov. They desperately need the defenseman. If they are willing to overpay us and say, hey, we'll give you the 2nd overall pick. We're going to give you another 1st. We're going to give you this. We're going to, butter you up. I'm not opposed to doing that. I think the Schaefer kid's the best kid in this year's draft. But if you're saying, oh, you're walking away with Misa, or you're walking away with Hagens because you're traded down and multiple other first-round picks, I'm not opposed to it. If they really offer us a substantial amount, I'm not opposed to it. But I want to get your take on that, Phil.
I mean, I'm probably closer to Grumpy on this, where it has to be so massive where I just don't have to think about it. It's just like, okay, if you're twisting my arm that much, then yeah, I'm going to move off of Schaefer. And I know a lot of fans are getting emotional about this, right? They got the number 1 overall pick for a while. I mean, for over a year, it was looking like Hagens was going to be the consensus number 1 pick. And then a combination of things. You had Misa obviously shooting up the rankings with a great year that he had. Schaefer and all the tournament play that he had, and the limited play that he had in the OHL this season was absolutely outstanding. And, the film on him is it's beautiful to watch. And then Hagens, from January on, I think it's something like 16 or 17 points in 21 games, only 4 goals in those games or something like that. He didn't have a very strong closeout to the year from January on. And when you just look at the ages, right, you've got a kid who is the youngest kid in the draft, missed the cutoff by 10 days, who's ranked number 1, and Hagens, who is basically the oldest kid in the draft, right? His birthday is 6 weeks past the cutoff from last year.
He's 27 years old.
He's 20, which, again, I'm not saying this to say anything bad about Hagens, but how many times do you have a situation where a consensus number 1 overall pick, which Schaefer, if you look across all the rankings, is basically the consensus one here, even though it's not, unanimous. How many times do you have a consensus number 1 pick who is just flat out not useful, not a contributor? It doesn't. Yakupov.
There's a lot more before that, Grum.
Right, but it hasn't happened. Like even the guys who are underwhelming, right? Even the Powers and the Lafrenières, these guys should have solid NHL careers. There will be ebbs and flows in there. They're not slam dunks like McDavid or Matthews, but they're useful players. It's not very uncommon to see guys who are ranked 2 or 3 or 4 on these boards who sometimes just turn into absolutely nothing. Your Nolan Patricks, guys like Capo Caco, to be quite honest. Guys like Jesperi Kotkaniemi, right? Guys who are just bottom of the lineup players who sometimes just completely flame out and don't make the league at all. Griffin Reinhart, right? Which is about where Hagens is ranked. A lot of people have him at about 4. Some even have him at 5. So people are going to be disappointed about it if they don't trade back up for him. But I just don't see a scenario in which they can't go with Schaefer at 1.
I think a lot of people are falling in love with Hagens is because the connection that he's born an Islander fan, and it's just like it feels like it's almost like romantic, where it's like, oh man, we've got to bring him in. This is just destined. It's meant to be. Yeah. It's in the cards. And like, from my opinion, sorry, I don't buy into that. I don't have any sort of that like romanticism about the selection. You got to draft the best player that's out there. And I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying advocate for trying to trade away the number 1 overall pick. I'm saying if in the Sharks, right, like when you listen to Greer, it's about as obvious as it could be that, oh gosh, he really wants that number 1 overall pick and he really wants Schaefer. Like, oh yeah, well wait, they've got to figure things out there too, and we got to sit on it. But then we've got to make a decision from that point. They desperately want Schaefer. They know they need Schaefer, and that's where it's like, if they're willing to seriously overpay, and I mean seriously overpay, I'm not saying, okay, this pick is it's immovable at that time period. If they ridiculously overpay, I'm all on board. But, I mean, it has to be ridiculous overpay. The Schaefer kid is unbelievably talented. There's no doubt about that.
I look at, I'm just wondering, because we haven't talked to Phil in a while on the show. He just seems so melancholy since his hero, the leader of as Phil is the leader of the Lamanites, must be all crestfallen over the fact that, Lou is no longer with the team. And it even looks like he's got, for those who are watching on YouTube, it even looks like he's got some type of murder board behind him on what happened to Lou Lamoriello. How did it happen that he was extinguished from Islander country?
It's the schedule for my wife's art classes, but sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
we'll go with murder board.
Hey, don't let the facts get in the way of a good skit, Phil. Come on. Look, he stopped shaving. He's still
exactly. I've been distraught over this. The longer this goes, the more and more that ownership fumbles around with this search, the more and more likely it is that Louis J. I'm just going to insert a J there. Lamoriello will be back next season. He's back up on the team website, right? You go to www.islanders.com. You go to coaches and management. His name and face are prominent there. He's back in the team directory, much to the chagrin of the likes of Chris Botta. So it doesn't sound like Holland wants the job. Gorton doesn't want the job. Who knows if Bergevin wants the job? Who knows if anyone wants the job?
Oh my God.
Lou has poisoned the minds of these other executives. Every time they talk, he's whispering in their ear, well, you know what? it's not everything it seems out here in Elmont, New York. I don't think you want this. There's asbestos in the ceiling.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Look at
Here's the
this.
thing. Now, Phil, I know that you're only half joking there, but we've heard rumblings that Lou is crying, begging to keep his job, begging, please, it's not my fault. I'm 80 freaking 2 years old. I need to stay. Please don't fire me. No, don't do it. And the only reason his name is still up on the website is because the intern who handles all that stuff for the cheap ass Islanders. Well, guess what? He's got finals this week, so he didn't have time. He made a mistake.
Well, it was taken down at one point. It was taken down.
Yeah, but you know what? They made a mistake and put it back up. He's gone. He's gone. We all know it. I'm happy. And now I don't know what you're going to do, Phil. You made a cottage industry out of being Lou Lamoriello's little gadfly. So I don't know what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I can absolutely reinvent myself. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
He'll pick up the next guy. That's all it's going to be, Grumpy.
It looks like he hasn't changed his shirt from the last podcast he was on. It's the same.
I have a lot of shirts that are very similar to each other. I'm just looking at the, it's funny. He's no longer on the, oh no, he's there. Lou Lamoriello. Yeah, he's there.
What does it have? Like something that looks like a rock? Just like
I picked up this shirt when I was in Elmont at the shops at Scott Malkin's beautiful mall there. Bought 3 shirts. This is one of them. So I figured I bought it in Islanders country. I may as well wear it to an Islanders podcast. So
why not?
Thank you, Scott Malkin, for that beautiful facility that you built there. It is gorgeous. It really is.
Look at him. Look at him. He's
right off the Cross Island.
He's a butt kisser to the highest degree, this Phil.
He's got to get ready for his next transition, Grumpy. Got to get ready to take on a job with the Islanders. Now that there's a whole bunch of moving and shaking,
now that Lou's gone, I could grow the beard. That's what this is about.
Oh, very good. Here's the thing. Remember, he used to be the leader. Now I'm just going to call all his little followers the Philistines. That's what going to be called now. Since
I like that.
The leader of the Lamanites is
absolutely
kaput.
Well, bringing it back on topic though. It's almost a screw-up proof scenario for the Islanders as long as you don't.
Oh, you could screw it up. You could screw it
very easily.
As long as you don't screw it up and pick the wrong guy. I think the draft is much harder to screw up just because it seems like this is a no-brainer. When everybody's saying Schaefer.
Hagens.
Fuck.
That's right. You gotta leave that 15-20% open for them to just come onto the stage, see all those Islander jerseys in the crowd, because I imagine when you got the number 1 overall pick, your fans should travel to an event like that.
Yes.
Hagens is going to be there wearing his Islander jersey from his childhood, begging and pleading with the Newsday writers right next to him, writing pieces like in real time about when he was 5 years old and John Tavares signed his, little pet Sparky, his stuffed animal Sparky doll or something like that. So there's going to be a lot of pressure from the mainstream Isles media cartel. I want you to pull something up, TJ, just to show you the full court press that's going on here. This is all being orchestrated, I'm convinced, by Ledecky. I think Ledecky has reached out to Islander influencers, and until someone tells me that this is not the case, I'm just going to go with this. But if you just pull up X and you go to the Isles Fix X account, if you just scroll down for everyone to see, it is a James Hagens Soviet Union style propaganda machine.
Holy fuck!
Pull it up for everyone.
If this,
and I by the way, I love Joe from Miles Fix, but this is just too much. It's too much for me, Joe. Come on, Joe. You're trying to get everyone's heart broken.
I don't know a Joe, but okay. Let's see here. I'm interested. Yes, this is what we're seeing a lot of.
Can you rifle through a little bit quicker instead of? Do you do that on purpose? Just and no one can read it. No one.
Oh God, I'm not in the take Hagens because he's an Islanders fan from Long Island camp, but he's completely dismissed as an option by too many based on the small shift in rankings and the year without a generational number 1.
Keep going. Yeah. Keep going.
February, tank for Hagens. May, didn't tank for Hagens. Won the NHL Draft Lottery 3.5%. Should take Schaefer and Misa. Why? Because draft prognosticators changed their 2025 draft rankings.
I
Okay.
can see why Phil's friends with this guy. I really can. He's a fucking loser.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on a second. Look at that. Oh, Grumpy, you see who that is? Oh man, it's the old guys from what you call it? The Eyes on
One of the Cuck boys. One of the Cuck brothers.
What do you got to do to get the NHL to rig the lottery for James Hagen and the whole team? Now that was done in December. So this guy,
I'm saying he's just he's reposting all this stuff from throughout the year about tanking for Hagens, everything about Hagens, just to show that.
Hold on,
until December he was number one.
Okay, Stefan, he
hasn't aged well. Stefan has not aged well.
No, he didn't pick a good pitcher for himself there on that one. But yeah, I've seen. Dude, so many of these guys are just all Hagens. Okay, I'll put it to you like this. There are shifts and changes to draft rankings, and that's due to the part of how the performance of the young man is in the year that they're drafted.
Ratu.
I just want to say one thing. No one, and I mean no one, has James Hagen as the best pick on the board. Everyone is saying Matthew Schaefer. Everyone. He is the consensus number one. And I'm going to tell you what, he is a generational talent. Okay. And like I said, I'm just going to say, I depend on certain people when I do this. I do not watch these players. All I see is the highlights. Yes, you're going to look good in the highlights. But when I look like certain guys and they say, well, this guy can skate, and I'm watching his highlights and he looks like a glacier out there, I'm like, okay, you're full of shit. I'm watching this kid and I'm like, wow. He looks
like a horse on the ice.
And he can move. He's shifty. I thought he's almost like he's a winger or a center. I'm like, this kid is tremendous because I said, we need offense. I watch this kid. There's no, like I said, it's got to be a Godfather offer to get me off of drafting him.
Yeah.
Is this from the first World Juniors game that he played?
I believe so. He's on defense. Again, he's defensively sound for the most part, what I understand. He's so skilled with the puck as well.
Can you do it half speed? Because this means nothing to anyone who's looking at it.
You want to just highlight which one he is, if you don't mind?
Yeah, it'd be nice to know.
I think he's 25, right?
Give me a sec here. Okay,
we don't care about the stable volume.
Okay,
half speed.
I'll put 7.5. Is that good enough for you?
That's fine. Look how fast he is. Look how fast he is at the 7.5 value. Speed. Well, we can't see. We got this.
I know. Give me a fucking second.
How many times you got to tell you? 100. We'll go back to the beginning, please.
Okay. So he's going to join the rush, and again, you look at these guys where it's like we need guys who could skate well. We need guys who I mean, from a defensive standpoint, who can do it. I mean, he can join the rush. Okay, maybe they didn't pick the right game. Okay, this is just one game. This is the extended clips there from the juniors. When you watch him play, when you watch his highlights, I've never seen a guy like that so well on the actual puck. And he's, as a defenseman, he skates so well, and he's so skilled with his hands. He does it at a high level of competition too, which is important to note. He's not small. I mean, like, for the way he moves, it's just nice vision there on the pass. And 9 was waiting for an invitation to the prom. He's still scoring.
What was the blue team doing there?
Finland.
Whatever. It looks like they were in Finland and they never moved off the continent.
Oop, nice pass.
Okay, is anyone going to go after him? Anyone?
No, they'd rather hang around in the crease, right?
Oh my goodness.
Well, Canada's dominating. They're up 22 shots to 6 in this game. That throws the body around, which is nice to see. Again, like I think you want a guy who can be semi-physical. He's never going to be huge. You look at his frame; he's never going to be a huge defender. You see some people like, oh, he's going to be like Drew Doughty. He's going to be nothing like Drew Doughty. Watch his game style is so much different than that. He skates a lot better than Drew Doughty ever skated too, but he's never going to be as physical and as big as Drew Doughty though too. You just kind of have to have the right expectations with him.
But he's a modern day NHL defenseman.
I agree. You're not. Again, active.
He picks the guy's pocket after taking a shot. They break it out of zone. He comes and picks the pocket. James Hagens doesn't do that. That's all I'm going to say. He's too busy hanging out at the other blue line, waiting for a pass a la Duclair. Don't we already have one of those guys on our roster?
What I don't want to see us do is try to draft a forward to allow us to try to compete for the right now. That's what I don't want to see happen. I want to see the team. Oh, an empty netter. But I'm like, I'll pull up a better one. Sorry, I didn't know this is just, the clips there from the World Juniors.
What about the ones that the NHL Network put out there? Again, why do you got to pull up some obscure clip that doesn't show our guy?
Relax, Grumpy. Relax, sir. We'll get it.
New hero of the people. He's my new favorite player on the team already. He hasn't even been picked. I hate James Hagens. If he gets picked, I'm going to hate him. He's just going to be continuing the ineptitude.
I think they're going to try to figure out a way to trade to number 4 to get him.
I don't want him.
Not using the number 1 pick.
I don't want to trade any future draft picks. None.
Unless it's cheap, but I can't imagine it being
It's not
cheap.
going to be cheap. It's going to cost you your 2026 first and more.
Then no. Then the answer is no.
I'm fine
Because
with
that's
it.
a way better draft than this one. Way better.
I'm fine with
Way
it.
better.
If they want to do it, I'm fine with it.
Not me. Because that kid's going to bust out. All right. I can already feel it. He's got bust written all over.
I'll tell you one thing. Look at the stick work here and just zoop.
You're not showing it to anyone.
I mean, you're just watching it yourself.
You're just watching it yourself. That's all right.
I'm watching
What
myself.
else is new? That's a typical TJ thing. Oh, look at how great he is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes more sense. I was watching this and I was like, man, I said nobody. I'm like, he's putting on a display right here, number 5 for.
Oh, this is at the Helinka Gretzky World Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I was talking to Phil and Grumpy. You look at how many defensemen were picked number 1 overall. A lot of times they don't necessarily live up anywhere close to the hype. They just don't. Historically speaking, some do, but historically speaking, most of them don't. I will say this kid looks like everything you would want in a defenseman and more. At least, look at the way he's driving that.
Is this half speed or 3/4 speed?
This is 3/4.
Okay, it's still pretty fast.
Whoop. Go to full speed. Just go to full speed at this point.
Grumpy, you going to get upset there with us? Let's see.
No, we won't be able to see what it actually is. What's this? Okay, go normal. Or abnormal for you.
Okay, this is normal speed here.
Well, this is a slow-mo replay, but that's all right.
Yeah. I'm just, again, he drives in that. I just never seen a guy skate for that size that well as a defenseman. Not afraid to shoot the puck. He's he's almost like a point a game guy there in Yo.
He was better than point a game. He just didn't play a lot of games.
Yeah.
He had mono and then he broke his collarbone in the World Juniors.
Right.
Where was James Hagens? Where was he playing in the juniors? You remember, Phil? What line was he on?
He was on the top line for the USA.
He played pretty well in the juniors.
He was great. He was the USA's best player.
Yeah.
He's going to be good. He should be good. James Hagens should be good. It's not about who should be good. It's about who projects to have the highest upside here, and it's this kid.
I hear he's like Kapu Kaku. That's what I think.
Hagens? No, Capo can't skate. That's the issue with Capo.
Again, he's just so quick back there. Yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy you select. He's got nice speed. He's got a good frame, a good size. He's got good hands. He is exactly what you want in the quintessential modern day defenseman.
I mean, that's a defenseman. Yeah, that's a defenseman.
Hands are filthy.
That's the type of puck, the couple of stick handling skills that you see from a high level center, right, Phil?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a kid you draft.
Yeah,
there's some defensemen that go like top 3 in shootouts. Guys like McCarr and Dougie Hamilton. He's going to be one of those guys, like Eric Carlson, and
he makes other people look like they're moving in slow motion. That's simple. I mean, he brings that from end to end. He goes ahead. Look at how he cuts through. Again, it's a porous job on their side. They're on a penalty kill, but he cuts right through the forwards. He breaks right across the blue line, no problem. He rifles a shot, puts it in the back of the net.
I just like he's got that little goal celebration where he lifts up the one leg and kind of woo, look at me, woo, with the one leg up.
He looks taller than 6'2".
He does look taller than 6'2". Maybe he's on elevators.
Again, just look at how he just speeds past the entire
effortlessly.
He's a naturally smooth skater.
Oh, and this is against the USA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at the burst. Look at the burst to get around number 6.
I think this is that was Canada under 18 versus US under 18.
Yep. Oh, fuck. Again, in a 3-on-3. This is the kid you draft.
There's that little celebration thing. Whoa! Like he's got, like whoa, and he's got the one leg up like Ralph Macchio and Karate Kid. There you go.
Almighty. I hope they put that one in slow motion to show to us again. Look at this. Fuck.
This is a defenseman.
He's a defenseman. Yeah. This is the kid you draft. I don't know if we need to watch more of this, but the highlights are unreal.
He probably looks like he's skating in mud.
No,
Hagens is a very good skater.
He blows.
Anyway, I think we watched enough clips of him today. But Schaefer's got to be the number one overall selection. If we pick it, I don't think we can go anywhere else. Now, again, you're thinking we trade maybe back into number 4, Phil, for Hagens?
I wonder if they do it. I mean, it hasn't really been done since the Sedin twins, where there was a reason to do it because you want to have the twins. Here, the reason to do it is because the island yearns for him. I think ownership's going to want him. I think ownership is going to view him as someone who can put butts in seats. It's a good story for the team to have a kid from Long Island. I'm not telling you what you want to hear. Yeah. I'm just telling you what I think the thought process is going to be with regard to Hagens. I think they are going to want to walk out of the building that night with Hagens one way or other in the car.
I think so too, and it just worries me.
But the mild concern I have is that they do it at 1, which I would be very upset about. I would be less upset about if they traded back and did it, all depending on return. I would be very happy if they took Schaefer and then figured out a creative way to then convince Utah to give us the 4 and then take him there.
If Hagens was in next year's draft, where would he be drafted?
I don't know next year's draft well enough. Obviously not 1. It's McKenna.
Probably 30 because he blows.
No, he wouldn't be 30, but I don't know where he would be.
I'm going to say outside the top 10. I'll say outside the top 10. He's been underwhelming the second half of the year, and I've heard that he'd get bullied off the puck at BC.
To answer your question, Phil was talking about it almost seems like Twitter and social media pages are on the books for the Islanders talking about Hagens. Grumpy is the equal but opposite on that. Any sort of position that's an edict from the organization, he takes the exact opposite position in a much more drastic manner. So Grumpy is no on Hagens just because everybody else is supporting him. I love it, Grump.
Unless they get the Godfather offer from San Jose or Chicago, which is those teams, their first unlottery protected number 1 next year, this year's number 1, and another because they both have multiple first round picks in the next couple of years, and another one, then I'm like, no, because this kid's just better. I want the best players on the team, not some consolation prize because he wore Islander pajamas. That's not what I want. I don't want somebody like that because I want to play for the Islanders. And here's the thing, seemed like a nice enough kid, wore a suit when they interviewed him at the end of the thing. Good for him. And I was like, oh, look, he wore a suit. And then I saw the highlights. I'm like, no. This other kid, Schaefer, is the way to go. And like I said, I'm in full-on rebuild. I don't care if Schaefer plays on the team next year at all. I'd rather see him back in the O. Play a full year down there, put up 250, 300 points, and then come and be with the Islanders the next year.
300 points. That would be something.
Yeah.
As a defenseman, yeah.
This kid's dynamic. And I was not into defensemen at all. Not till I saw this kid play. I'm like, wow. Yeah. I'm all for the Schaefer kid. Hagens, no. Sorry.
It's funny that Mies is almost like an afterthought. And again, he's
older, but he's a lot old. He's older too, just like Hagens.
He's still in his draft class year. He averaged over 2 points a game in the OHL. Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate. The one thing that at least I've read, I'm not even going to pretend like I've watched all of these OHL games and was preparing for the Islanders to win the draft lottery. Apparently, he does not perform as well against bigger time opponents. And I'm like, that immediately for me is I'm like, all right, that makes you a clear number 2 in my book.
And he's older too. The thing about Hagens, I hear whenever they need to buy alcohol, they just send him in. This is my regular driver's license. I'm like 23 years old. So I know everybody else is 17, but I can buy alcohol for everybody.
I guess switching topics a little bit.
Of course, I'm just bagging on the kid. But to me, if it's a choice between the two of them, you got to go with the best player, not because somebody, lives in town. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. Rankings change for a reason. Players, have different rankings, at the beginning of the season a year ago than what they have now. And that's just how it is. I mean, you've got to go with the most up-to-date, most current information. This kid's young. It looks like a kid you roll the dice on. Simple as that. I'm going to put Phil on the spot real quick here. Phil, would you trade any future draft picks at where the organization is right now? Would you trade any future draft picks for some half-hearted attempt at James Hagens?
Yeah, I already said I would. Yeah.
I just want to make sure you're on record twice saying that. So when you're wrong, I can grill you on it.
I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I could see a scenario where they will. because they'll want him. They want him bad. I think if they would have stayed at 10, right, the trade from 10 to 4, I think they would have put the package together to do it. Now it's just, and that's probably what they were preparing to do this whole time. Now it's just a much funnier scenario because you're in the spot to get the higher quality player. It's almost as if they wish that there was a lottery situation where they could have just jumped from 10 to 4 and not have to worry about this.
Yeah, well, it's a good problem to have.
I was about to say, good problem to have. Very good problem.
Loser mentality. You know what? We're in position to take the best player by far in this draft with the most upside. That's who I'm taking. James Hagens, you know what? Okay. Do we want you? You know what? Let's wait a couple of years after you bust out in your first organization. Then we'll bring you home. There's not a problem with that.
Oh, gosh. I know you're being hyperbolic, Grump. But I will say, if you do go ahead and draft Schaefer, what does that do for Romanov? We were talking a little bit about this, prior. I'm not sure how Romanov fits into this picture as well. I mean, it may be putting, the cart well before the horse, but
it's not really putting the cart before the horse, because whether or not he hits the expectation of a number 1 overall pick, he's going to have to play on your top 2 pairs.
I agree with that. Yes.
So maybe you start him initially on the 3rd pair and then work his way up as he goes along. But very quickly, he's going to need to be playing top 4 minutes. He is going to be quarterbacking your top power play.
Yep.
So then it becomes a matter of, all right, you've got Pelech, who's got 5 years left. You've got Romanov, who is due a contract now and is probably going to be looking at wanting a longer-term contract. So I think you really have 2 choices here. Either you go short on Romanov, like 2-3 years, which his camp might not be fine with, and they might just say, you know what, we're just going to elect for arbitration, and then we're going to force a 1-year deal, and then next year we're going to go free agent. And if that's the signals you're getting from them, then you trade him before they could do that. But I just don't see how you could go long on him. I don't see how you could lock him into a spot, because you need the veteran to be around. You need veterans for a guy like Schaefer is coming in. So I think there's a lot of value in retaining Pelech for that reason. In which case, to lock Romanov up long-term on a deal that would probably be north of $4.5-5 million to then be on your 3rd pair in perpetuity, it blocks opportunity from other younger players also in the organization, which isn't to say that any of George, Odelius, or Pulkkinen or anyone else that they might draft in the next year or 2 on the left side will make the jump, but you're not allowing an opportunity for that to happen if you lock this player in. This player being Romanov.
And this guy could potentially be like a 23, 24, 25-minute a game guy with Dobson on the 1st pair.
Right. So then if you have $5 million tied up in a guy who's playing 16 minutes, it's just not economically friendly.
And the fact that he sucks something awful is another reason to move on from him.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. If this kid Schaefer, and that's why I said I don't know if it's putting the cart before the horse, but ideally you draft the defenseman number 1 overall, because he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to be a top tier player on your team, one of the best, if not the most skilled player on your team. You envision him probably playing. Think about the top tier defensemen. They play 26, 27, sometimes 28 minutes a game. It's not normal, but again, those top tier defensemen play quite a hefty amount of minutes. And you're exactly right. If you're really talking about, oh, great, our 2nd and our 3rd pairing defensemen on the left side now are playing, we're only asking them to play 15, 16 minutes a night. Doesn't make sense to tie them up with 2 guys like that for that long time period. But it does bring an interesting question into this offseason as to what we do with Romanov. Is exactly right, because you probably look at the defensive pairings as you're going to have Dobson, you'd have Schaefer if he makes the team. I assume you probably would if you draft him on 1 overall. And then
I don't know. They're not saying he's a lock to make the team this year. I again, like Grumpy said, he's only turning 18 in September. He is super, super young.
Let him play another year in the OHL. Let the Islanders suck. Get a higher draft pick.
But again, whether he plays this year or not, it really isn't relevant to the type of contract you give Romanov, right? Because I think 2 to 3 years, that's fine. If you want to give him a 2 to 3 year deal, by all means. If you're going to lock him up long term, I don't see why you would do that.
Well, I'm glad
if this is the player you go with.
I'm glad Lou's gone, because he probably would have already given him an 8-year extension.
Well, be careful what you wish for, because Kenny Holland might come crawling back.
I heard that he's out. He's out.
Let's talk about GM.
I don't think anyone at this point has a clear handle on it. There's been a lot of stuff floating around. It looked like it was going to be Bergevin as a lock. Then tumult in LA. Then people were talking about Holland. And then smack in the middle of all of it, they won the draft lottery. And maybe in the mind of ownership, it becomes, all right, now we need to redraw this entire process and start asking different interview questions.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that either, but it is odd that we're still kind of sitting and waiting for a GM to be named.
Yes.
That the Kings, I mean, like Bergevin on that side, right? They fire Rob Blake, and now it's like, oh, hey, we're going to interview Bergevin for the job out there in Los Angeles because they got bounced in the first round yet again. And they're kind of like, all right, we want a different direction. And now it's like, okay, Bergevin maybe was looking at the Islanders with some serious consideration. He's a guy who was interviewing prior, but now it's like, okay, where does it lie? I have to assume when you get the number 1 overall pick, you win the draft lottery. The job in New York just got that much more appealing. And that's what from my understanding is Ken Holland, on that side was, hey, he was interested at that point after they won the draft lottery, crawling back, as you just had mentioned, to have that conversation again as maybe this being an option for him.
Yeah, as soon as he said he wasn't interested in the job, and all of a sudden we get the first overall pick, and now all of a sudden he wants to come back, you're automatic. Besides the fact that you're 70 freaking years old, you're a friend of Lou Lamoriello's, and your son is going to come with you. I mean, we just went through that nightmare. There's no way we want to repeat that failed experiment. And here's the thing. You want to say maybe the question changed? Okay, here's the question. Ownership is sitting behind the desks, and you got the GM comes in. The first question is, James Hagens, is he the guy you want to draft? If they put their hand up and say yes, you're not the guy for us. I'm sorry. Get out. Get out.
God. Now, is there anything that you're hearing, at least? Because Kekalainen is a guy that apparently they're still, I mean, I feel like he's been sitting on the outside looking in, at least from the interest maybe of the Islander standpoint. And I'm not sure if just because he's so available and he's been without, employment for a while, it's just like, oh, hey, he's the safe fallback. We can always bring in a guy like Kekalainen. When do you think they announce something, like the next general manager? I think that has to be done very soon is what I have to figure.
I would have thought it would be done at some point this week, whether it be today, tomorrow, or Friday. It still could be. I would be mildly surprised if they don't have it wrapped up this week, but with each passing day, it seems that people know less and less about what they're doing.
That worries me.
Here's the thing. If I have my choices, the big three were the Holland father and son team. They're like, that's not even a bronze medal for me. They're like DQ. Sorry. You use performance-enhancing drugs, you're out. Kekalainen is number 2. I'd go with Kekalainen. I love the drafts that he had in Columbus. I have no problem with him. But number 1 for me is Bergevin in charge. And bring in Darsh, who was the guy who handled all of Tampa Bay's salary cap stuff. I mean, instead of Lou out there with, having, peanuts on his desk and M&Ms and spreading them out between the players, that style doesn't work anymore.
You're going to have 10 M&Ms available this offseason to go ahead and spread up in contracts. Who should we go ahead and divvy up the M&Ms to? Is that what you're saying?
Something? I don't know if you were aware.
Well, everyone's also talking about how they want Gorton so badly. I don't even know why you'd want Gorton. I hate Gorton. I think he's a terrible general manager.
Okay. Did you know, Phil, that Lou actually did television commercials back in the 1960s?
Did he?
Yeah. He did the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop commercial. He was the old bird sitting up in the tree. How many licks, sir, does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? He goes, 1, 2, 3, 3. That's Lou Lamoriello. That doesn't work anymore. I'm sorry. We've got to come out of the tree and get a young general manager.
And even I don't know for Gordon. Would it be that? I mean, why not Darsh? Why not Darsh?
Okay,
I don't think they're going to go. They could go with Darsh, but then they're going to have to bring in an experienced Poho.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine.
I don't know if they want to pay 2 guys. Do they want to pay 2 guys? I don't know if they do.
Come off the hip, you cheap motherfuckers! You're in New York. Come off the
watch
hip.
Your mouth. Your mommy said, "Watch your mouth."
Come off the hip and pay. Simple as that. You want this to be successful? Do it. Pay. Simple as that. Because even these guys like Gorton, again, like 56-year-old GM. I'm sick and tired of having these GMs that are 1 foot in, 1 foot close to Social Security age. We need a guy who's
They are Social Security age already. They've already hit the maximum amount of money that they're going to get out of the Social Security system. Those are the guys we want to bring in.
In Holland,
Lou Lamoriello has already defied the odds by living as long as he has. Ken Holland has he's got 1 foot on the grave and the other one on a banana peel too. I don't want those guys running my hockey team. I don't want Fredo Jr.
Is Holland American? I don't think Holland's American. I don't think he's
eligible. I don't care where he's from.
I don't think he's eligible for Social Security. All I'm saying, I don't think he could collect Social Security.
I don't
Social insurance. That's what we have up here. I don't think, but he's not taking your Social Security.
In Canada, the 51st state. Who cares?
Oh man, he's Canadian. Yes, he's Canadian American. Anywho,
he's also American.
Yeah, I think he's got dual citizenship.
Okay,
yeah.
So then he's collecting both. He's collecting both. How about that? Good for him.
Look at that, Grumpy. They want to bring him in because he's so savvy.
And his son, Fredo Jr., who's
that would be the worst case scenario. We bring in him and he brings in his Nepo hire son, who's going to be associated like as an assistant GM or something crazy like that he's going to hand the job to.
I just don't want it where the Islanders get to send all the checks for the organization to one house. I don't want that.
What if they hire Chris Lamoriello? Just promote him. He's young. He's in
his 50s, but he looks like he's 100. His daddy has gotten him every job since he was a newspaper boy, Phil. You know that.
Let him have a chance driving the car. You know
he did. He drove Bridgeport to the worst team in the history of the American Hockey League.
Read this one real quick, Grumpy, from Freedom
Fund. Says word on the street is Chris Lamoriello will apply for a job at the sweatshop son X works at.
Works, quote unquote, for.
Phil, great to see noted tough guy Bada give you verbal beatdown and drag his balls across your face. He did do that, Phil.
He did felt you. He felt you. He came at you, Phil.
Why is that, Phil? Why did he do that?
I more put it up there because I liked the fact that the sweatshop that X works for is the same one that Chris Lamoriello is going to be working for going forward. Simple as it is.
Why does Chris, go ahead. The big question: why does Chris Bada hate you?
I don't know. I'm so likable.
Because you're gaslighting the fan base, Phil.
Never,
with your lies.
Never.
It's been established that Phil lies to put tweets up there just to get people riled up. He does that.
Maybe once, maybe twice. Who knows?
He's a provocateur, Grumpy.
He's a provocateur.
He's there to.
What if we traded the first overall pick to dump Sorokin's contract?
Yeah, okay.
Using it as an incentive for a team to take Sorokin's contract. Maybe that will get us out of our cap issues. Right?
I bet you they take half the team and do that.
Oh man. So Ken Holland, we're both not a fan. Nobody's a fan of.
No.
I think they're overthinking it at this point. I think just go with Bergevin.
Does Bergevin want us?
I don't know.
That's the real question. I mean, like that's.
He speaks French. Wah speaks French. They could speak French with each other all day long. They'll have a great time.
I think Wah wants Bergevin.
I bet he does.
I think he doesn't have to worry about any sort of job security issues if Bergevin's in town. Simple.
Well, I mean, LeBrun reported that he has 3 years left on his deal. So I don't know that they're going to fire him now anyways.
They gave Patrick Waugh, a head coach who had not coached in how many years at the NHL level, a 4 or a 5-year contract?
It was a 4-year contract. The first contract was an interim contract, and then they gave him apparently, per LeBrun, a 4-year contract last summer.
And that was Lou Lamoriello who handed that out, correct?
I don't think so, no. I doubt it.
He was too busy trying to blame everything on Patrick Waugh instead of his poor roster building. That's what I heard. And when he was crying, please don't fire me. Fredo needs a job. Please don't. I have grandchildren. Ooh. Get out, Fossil.
Does he have Chris has kids?
I don't know. I'm going to say probably. I don't know. I was going to say something mean, but I won't do it.
Well,
He's out of a job.
I'm glad you restrained yourself, Grumpy. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing for me. Why we need to get this GM search and hockey ops guy get that done is because the whole organization needs to be overhauled, including the minor league system.
Bridgeport, yes, absolutely.
It's just not good enough. It's bad. It's where prospects go to die.
I do think, though, ownership needs to seriously think about what they want the future and the direction of the team to be. You've been gifted the #1 overall selection. you know, through the desperate desire for Colorado to chase a cup that they just simply were not good enough to chase, and we all knew that. They overpaid for Brock Nelson at the deadline, and we've benefited from that. And
by the way, regarding the draft lottery, this is totally off topic. Why haven't they been doing it like this always?
Because it's entertaining.
The envelope thing is so stupid. No one cares about the envelope. We want to see it happening. We want to watch it. We want to see the ping pong balls come up. And I like the percentages that they updated. You see who's knocked out in real time. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, I think it was too. Here's what I think it was. Lou Lamoriello was the one who put down the original draft lottery concept. And as long as he was in the league, they weren't going to change. As soon as he gets bounced, we win draft lottery. They change it. They make it more exciting, except they got too many people up there. And the one guy looking at the scoreboard, 30 seconds. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't understand the point of that, to be honest. I guess
they need 6 guys up there to handle that process.
Well, you have the ball machine operator. You've got Bettman, who's the GM, the commissioner. You've got the host. So that's 3.
Butchergrass. He was the best one.
He was all right. And then you got the guy who's looking at the 30-second shot clock. Then you've got the auditor with his pen, and then you've got Bill Daly. So yeah, you need all 6.
Okay, really? Okay. You know what? They need to send Doge in there to clean up that act.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
You're saying Daly is kind of a redundancy there.
Well, Daly didn't need to be there, and neither did the auditor, because they had all this down. Butchergrass is saying who it is. Like, oh, hold on, and you got at least this guy actually had a pencil.
Verify, trust but verify.
This guy actually had a pencil and a piece
He's circling.
of paper. I'm like, dude, everyone knows. You explained it to us 100 times. We saw what these are the numbers. If this number comes up, this is what it is. You didn't need to go to Peter Pencil Pusher to have him look there and scroll something on a piece of paper.
You can never be too careful. You can never be too careful.
Daily, he handed it to. What if he spelled Islanders wrong and put on screw it? I'm a fan of the Rangers. I'm just put New York Rangers on there. I don't care. What if it was TJ? He would have.
I knew it was going to be a 13. I had no doubt it was going to be 13. I called Grumpy by the commercial break. I'm like, it's going to be 13. I didn't even think it would be 5. Like, it could have been 5. It doesn't matter. It's going to be 13. Has to be 13. That's just the way it's going to be.
And who's the one, Phil, who predicted that we were going to win the draft lottery?
You did a week ago.
Longer than a week ago, Phil.
Longer than a week ago. A while ago. Yep, absolutely.
Right away.
Well, you didn't say we would win 1. You said that you were confident that we're going to move up, either 1 or 2.
And I said we trade Dobson if he doesn't want to sign a contract extension. Trade Dobson to Nashville. We get number 4. That's where we pick Hagen. You win.
Well, now Nashville's number 6. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah. Now it doesn't matter that anymore. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, I do want to go ahead and jump or do our ad read. I do want to start jumping in some comments as well.
Let's get to them.
Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite team's players' performance. Will they drop 30, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code THPN. Again, that's promo code THPN for new customers. Get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for gambling. If you have a gambling problem, call 888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort. You must be 21 years or older, and age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. It's for new customers only, and bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms or responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio.
Very good, TJ. Congratulations. Let's get to some comments. Is X been starring these comments?
He hasn't been doing shit. He's been
so
slacking.
You starred the comments?
Somewhat, yes. Been trying to do the best.
I want to. Okay. Different.
Wait to Saturday. No, it could not wait to Saturday. This is exciting news. We had to talk about us winning the draft lottery. It could not wait to Saturday. Nick Seagrump.
Okay. I generally can't believe it still. This changes everything. There's one from Matt C. At 9:35. He said, "Good evening, gents. Quite the turn of luck for our Islanders. Personally, I'm torn between Schaefer and Misa, but I think In the end, I lean Schaefer. You know what? I don't want to see. Is there anyone who says Hagens here?
No. Oh, you're saying in the comments. I
Yeah,
can't
in the
see
comments.
Some people like Hagens. They do.
Yeah. His mom. That's who.
Oh no, we don't have burner accounts for Hagens already. I do think a lot of people are romanticizing about him because it's like this is a guy who truly wants to be in Islanders. He was supposed to be the #1 overall pick all year, except maybe halfway through the season he got usurped, and it's like now all of a sudden we're going to go with somebody else. But this guy bleeds Islanders blue and orange, so I think it's from that standpoint, it's people see that and they say I want somebody who's fully invested and wants to be here for the Islanders.
Okay, I bleed Islander blue and orange, but I'm not expected to be drafted with the #1 pick overall.
It's funny. People are like, oh, man, this guy's a Toronto fan, just like the other #1 overall pick that we selected.
Literally half the league grows up in the greater Toronto area. And of those hundreds of players, thousands of players, most of them grow up Leaf fans. Right? If you look at the Islanders roster, Cizikas for sure grew up a Leaf fan. Pelech grew up a Leaf fan. What other Torontonians do we have on the team? I'm sure Josh Bailey grew up a Leaf fan. He's
no wonder they all suck so bad. Toronto fans,
right? I mean, all these guys who are from Oakville and Richmond Hill and Vaughan and Toronto, they're all going to be Leaf fans. That's just the way it is.
This too, right? David also brings it up there. I think it's not only the connection of him from being Long Island there for Hagens. He also played with Cole Yzerman, our selection last year. I'd liked him to see an Islander, but not #1 overall. That's the other thing, right? It's like they're all looking at the interviews that Cole Yzerman has with Hagens. They're like, oh man, wouldn't it be great for these two to be team
romance?
That's exactly people. They're just romanticizing.
We don't need 2 busts for the last 2 years picks. That's unnecessary.
Yzerman is not a bust.
He's got bust written all over him.
He does not have bust.
I watched him play that one game. Like, this kid sucks.
He's great.
Nobody went to his birthday party.
Great player.
That's a big negative. What about Utah naming their team the Mammoth?
Ugh. I'm actually down for that. I like that.
I don't care, but it just seems pretty stupid. Yeah.
Okay, it's better than Hockey Club, but not much.
No, I like Hockey Club.
No, the Mammoths are good, Grumpy. Come on, man.
Mammoths are dead. Maybe that's why there's no groups that are against the Mammoths. That's the way they gave the name.
Bernardo Grump.
Matthew Schaefer, what an opportunity for us to get a star #1 defenseman and the youngest guy in the draft. What an offseason so far. The Islanders hire Darsh and make it a grand slam. If you hire Darsh, you got to hire Bergeron as your hockey ops guy, which is what I've been espousing for a couple of weeks now.
I think that makes this offseason about as perfect A+++ for the Islanders. You bring in Bergevin to be the hockey ops, Darsh to be the GM. You draft Schaefer or trade back and get an absolute godlike offer. I mean, that is about as good as an offseason could be, and it'd be dreamt of for the Islanders. Pony Bear Curtis.
Holy freaking smokes, boys! Can you freaking believe it? If only it were 2023.
I will say, if only it were 2024, because from what I've seen so far, I think I like Celebrini better than Bedard.
Yes. It was funny. Grumpy and I were talking about that. Like, remember the hype that was around Bedard? I think the hype around Bedard was probably more like they broke it down in the Athletics article. It was like where players are ranked based off of their hype in their draft class year.
I think he was like second to McDavid.
They put him like 3 or 4. They said, the hype behind Austin Matthews and the hype.
Right. I think, yeah. McDavid, Matthews, and then Bedard is what it was, I think.
And they put
I don't think McDavid has been drafted in the last 10 years. So he wasn't.
He was 15. He was.
Okay.
It started with McDavid and it went to it started the year before McDavid.
No, because Matthews was #1.
Yeah.
Matthews was 2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were comparing
Schaefer.
They were comparing Schaefer and the last 9 years draft class. This is what it was. So they did a ranking of the top 10.
Oh, so they did it again. They ran it with Schaefer, you're saying?
Yes, Schaefer was number 5 out of the 10.
And
Schaefer's 5 out of 10. Who's he? I'm assuming he's ahead of Power, ahead of Slavkovsky.
Yeah.
Who else is he ahead of?
He was ahead of Lafreniere.
Hischier,
Lafreniere. That's okay. So then that would be 6.
Dahlin. He was ahead of Dahlin.
Ahead of Dahlin, really?
Yeah, he's better than Dahlin. Way better.
It's the hype.
I don't know if he's better than Dahlin, but I thought Dahlin was hyped pretty hard. No,
I thought he was hyped pretty hard. They had this had only Connor Bedard hyped as the 3rd most hyped prospect in the last what would be 9 years, and I'm like, that just.
I don't think that's true. I think
it's not what it was. TJ, you're wrong. I'm not even getting this argument again.
I'm not wrong.
Pull up the article. I want to see what the article is. If you have it,
I will read it. Yes, I'll read exactly what it says.
This is in the Athletic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to read exactly what it says there for you, Grump. because Grumpy just
They
refused.
are looking at how they are now and stuff like that.
No,
It's
they're
a
not.
comparison. Because Connor Bedard was absolutely the most hyped. He was Connor McDavid 2.0.
Listen, I'll read it to you again.
Go.
The first overall pick in the NHL draft is always highly anticipated. This article compares the last 9 number 1 overall picks with this year's top prospect, Matthew Schaefer, based on the rankings from NHL scouts and executives. The idea of this article is to ask the evaluators to compare Schaefer to the other players at the time of their drafts, not incorporating how they've played since then. Okay,
That's right.
Very
So-
clear.
Right. Okay.
So
and
who's the better
read the
player?
ranking. I just want to hear the ranking. I don't need the notes. I just need the ranking. What is it?
TJ only cares
one.
about the notes.
Number one is McDavid.
No. McDavid.
Oh, he missed the cutoff. Okay, Matthews.
Number 1 is Matthews. Number
Sure.
2 is Celebrini. Number 3 is Bedard. They had Celebrini highly
See,
hyped.
that's
than
bullshit.
I don't remember that.
Bullshit.
It just wasn't true. It's recency bias on it. But
That is
I remember
recency
Bedard
bias.
being hyped through the ass, like he was supposed to be the next McDavid. So, yeah, I mean, they had Jack Hughes at number 4 and Schaefer sitting at number 5.
Yeah, lose for use was the big thing that year, right?
Yep, absolutely was.
But Bedard.
And then after
was
Schaefer,
number
you said
one.
they have Lafreniere as right behind him.
After Schaefer is Darlene.
Darlene, got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember Lafreniere being hyped more than Darlene.
I
It's
think
an
it's
imperfect
easy.
article. I think they absolutely have picked what they've kind of turned into a little bit as
Did
well.
a bit. They
Because
they
if you
are-
actually look at what they say, they're talking about where they are now as well.
I'm just reading exactly what the article says. Not,
Shut up,
not-
DJ. Go to the next comment.
I think the least hyped out of all of them was probably Slavkovsky because most
Yes.
people didn't think he was even going to be number 1.
Yep, they had him at 10. Yeah. And again, he's played much better, I think, than what people originally had anticipated from him. I am the curve, Grumpy.
Hey, actually, I'm the curve. Thanks. I could see a Bergevin and Darce duo, correct, if Bergevin is hired as president. I 100% agree. That's why I'm the curve. It's not
Makes
my burner account. Nick Canetta says, I still feel like Hagens is the pick to make. Oh, my God. Everyone says Schaefer, but he doesn't really have any track record looking at his hockey reference.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah.
boy.
No. Sorry, Nick Canetta. No, baby. No.
We covered that one already.
There you go. Different minds, Grumpy. I just wanted to show because Grumpy's asking, were people saying Hagens? There are people in the comments who are saying Hagens, but I think a lot of it's because again they're romanticizing the idea of him being paired up with Yzerman.
Oh my God, these Islander fans are into the Hagens thing. I could just tell.
I'm telling you, a lot of fans are. You keep saying like, "Oh, I can't believe it." Online, there's a lot of people making a push. They want Hagens number 1.
I know it's because they've been pumping him down our freaking throat for the last 2 years. I know all the pundits are saying Misa or Schaefer, but the quality of competition Hagens has had in the NCAA versus the junior guys makes me lean Hagens. Hagens fucking blows. Bob McKenzie has Hagens at number 2.
He's
Good
too
enough for me.
extreme, TJ. He's too extreme.
Okay, Hagens is not number 2. He is not number 2 from Bob McKenzie. He is not.
Okay, have you looked at Bob McKenzie's rankings, Grumpy? You're just saying
He
that
might be. No, he might be. I'll tell you. Hold on.
Phil looked it up. He looked it up.
Grumpy's
Yeah,
just
he did.
bullshit. Adam P. Again, Grumpy's being unbelievably hyperbolic tonight because he's completely sold hook, line, and sinker on Schaefer.
Absolutely, I'm a Schaefer guy. Absolutely.
If he
I
does,
remember when they used to have Schaefer beer.
if they do
Okay,
anything,
I think the person might be looking at his midseason rankings.
Yeah, like I
but
said,
if you go
he's
to,
fallen like a freaking rock since then. He blows.
let's see here.
I'd be
He's like
fine.
Kevin Fiala.
I find if they really wanted Hagens and they thought that was the guy who's the can't miss, which I'm not so sure on, and you traded back, I'm fine with it.
Not me.
Here are Bob McKenzie's from, again, his January ranking definitely had Hagens at number 2. And if you go to his ranking from last week, where's the stupid article? I'll get it.
Who do you have at number 1 in January, Phil?
Schaefer.
Thank you very much. I don't even say anything else. I don't even say anything else. And don't tell me that the college hockey is so great. It's not.
Okay, I'm looking at his, and when I say his, this is McKenzie from the 5th. So 2 nights ago is when this article came out, right?
Yep.
No, the 2nd. I'm sorry. Same idea.
A week ago.
Number 1, Matthew Schaefer. Number 2, I just want to see if he has any notes on Schaefer in here. Hold on 1 second.
If you don't take him, you're a moron. That's probably what the notes say.
Hold on 1 second. Iriota, dynamic defenseman Schaefer, whose season ended with a broken collarbone at the WJC in December, remains solidly at number 1. Although it's not quite unanimous at this time, of one of the 10 scouts surveyed. Okay, so only one of them had Misa at 1. The other 9.
No Hagens? No Hagens in there at all? No Hagens?
Number 2, Michael Misa. Number 3, Porter Martone.
Uh-oh.
Number 4, Anton Frondel.
Uh-oh.
Number 5, James Hagens.
Yeah.
Okay. He's probably looking at the January rankings where Hagens
right.
was rated number
Right, and then
2.
from January, so if you pull up from Byron Bader, who has a project which is called Hockey Prospecting, where he basically has a formula that he's worked out, gives, I guess, some sort of quality point assignments based on the league that the player's in, and then kind of charts out based on his model. Again, it's imperfect because some players just pop off in these junior leagues like Dal Cole, and then they end up turning into nothing, but he's got a decent track record with this stuff. In January, he said, I think I'll give you the date. I think it was January 14th or 10th or something like that.
Close enough for government work. In January.
He said, it was January 14th. I like Schaefer plenty, but I'd still go with Hagens first overall in 2025. That was January 14th. Someone asked him today, what has changed, Byron? So he wrote today, about 7 hours ago, he fell off like a stone basically right after this tweet. He was pacing superstar production to go along with superstar D-1 production, but ended up with okay production for a first overall pick. I still like him, but a bit more gun shy.
Yeah. His first formula blew, but the second one was spot on. Bye-bye. No Hagens. No. It would be a catastrophic error draft.
Then someone asked him, because then he wrote, the 2025 draft was not a deep one. Wouldn't be surprised if there are only 3 to 5 stars emerging from it. So someone asked, who are your predictions to be stars? Frondel, Misa, Schaefer. So he said, yes, those would be the front runners. A few other interesting options that maybe aren't talked about as much. But
so no Hagens in there.
No Hagens in there. No.
Fuck Hagens. No. Next.
Oh, Grumpy. Matt Barzal is commenting in, Grumpy.
Here's the thing. I don't think I'd take Hagens with the 3rd round pick.
Oh my God.
Matt Barzal says, cannot lie. I'm very, very excited about this team. And 2 weeks ago, I could not wait for the season to end. New York Islanders hockey cannot come soon enough.
That's right. I'm ready. I'm ready for Islanders, depending on who we bring as GM and who we draft.
It's got to be Schaefer and Bergevin and Darsh. Then I'll be happy.
Different
Mind says Hagens is the move if we don't blow the team up. You know what? Blow the team up then, because this guy's not the number 1 pick. He's just not.
Well, that's what I'm concerned with. If the team wants to say, let's try to compete for now, let's draft a guy we can slide out there to help the offensive production. We're just going to re-sign back Romanoff. We're going to keep our defensive pairing together. And now we're going to add, what can be a guy who slides in on the first line potentially on day 1 to play alongside of Barzal and Horvat to try to compete. That's what I don't want to see happen. I want to see us start to change. This really gives you the chance to change the structure of the organization. Time to do it.
But he doesn't. I mean, it's not like Hagens is like defensively responsible at all from the center spot.
I was watching Mike Bartner. He's an Islander fan, but he does these like rankings. Sometimes his content is a little bit wacky, but he was going through the logic of some of the players who he thinks are going to go at the top of the draft. So Schaefer to the Islanders, Misa to the Sharks. He, I think, had Chicago taking Martone because he thinks with some of the smaller centermen that they have, they would want to go with a big winger. Who's number 4? Remind me which team is picking 4.
Utah. 4 is Philadelphia.
Utah. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, Utah.
4, he had Denoyer. He just thinks they're going to want to have a centerman that has more size. 5 was Boston, right?
Philly.
5 is Philly. He had Frondel. 6 is Nashville. 6 is right. So that's where he, based on just team fit, thought Hagens would go. That Hagens would go to Nashville at 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think seriously, all fooling around aside, I think Hagens absolutely dropped in the eyes of scouts over the second half of the year.
Yep.
But also, it wouldn't shock me if, like, Barry Trotz just kind of looked at the draft board and was like, I like McQueen's size. Like, wouldn't that be so Barry?
Yeah.
Like McQueen
Then you go to
6'5".
Boston.
Yeah, it'd be like, McQueen is 6'5", Hagens is 5'10". I like McQueen. Or even if he said, you know what, I like Eklund because I got a bunch of Swedes in the room here. He'll have Roman Josi. He'll have Philip Forsberg. Let me take the Swedish kid. It wouldn't shock me.
At what number would you consider trading up to for Hagens if he slides to where? Because like I said, I'm not giving up.
I think really the only spot that you could trade up to get him is 4. Because I just don't think Philly's going to trade with you. Philly's not going to trade with you, and I don't think Barry's going to. I think Barry wants this pick. Whether he takes Hagens or not is irrelevant. And then once it gets to Boston at 7, Boston's taking it.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. I don't think he goes any later than 7.
No.
Even though the O'Brien kid is moving up.
You know what? As simple as this. If the asking price on Hagens was you give up your second this year, a first next year, and maybe something else next year.
Which first? You have to specify which first.
Let's say it's Colorado's first, but it's not going to be. I think it's going to be probably more expensive than that.
It would have to be. The team is going to want our first, not Colorado's first.
If we can lottery protect it, I'm okay with it.
Lottery protected to what number? 3, 5, 7, 10?
10. Let's say 10. We can lottery protect it to 10.
They won't do it.
Second this year.
I could see a team doing it if you lottery protect it to 4 or 5.
Then the answer is no for me. That's a no.
Maybe we trade away Romanoff and pick up some draft capital and then immediately flip it. I'm fine with that too, because again, where does Romanoff fit in this scenario?
He doesn't.
Well, Utah needs left-handed defensemen.
There you go. Package Romanoff away as well. Romanoff plus.
Look, there are ways to make the trade happen. I think they're going to want to make the trade happen. And I think Grumpy should just prepare himself for the possibility of accepting it and then embracing the player.
I will not embrace it because
you have to embrace the player. You don't need to embrace the process, but he is a skilled player who has really, really good upside. And if they end up having him here, then to talk about him like he's some dreg is just I think it's dishonest. He's good. He's very, very good. He's got really good upside.
Here's the thing. He's not – if he was in next year's draft, he'd probably be outside the top 15.
Oh, I don't know about that.
The way he played the second half of the year. Everything I've read on him is like, no.
Watching the World Juniors, he objectively was the most impressive U.S. player for the large part of the tournament. He was more impressive than his older line mates, Leonard and Perreault, from what I saw of him. It was him, like the guys who really stood out to me.
Well, how come he didn't put up anyone near the numbers of those two guys?
He did. He led the team in points, didn't he, TJ?
No, I think it's Leonard.
No. In the
World Juniors, didn't he lead in points?
Really well. Yeah, he Grumpy. He did really well. You're downplaying what he's done. And
yeah, you're right. I got a real negative sour taste.
Why don't you stop? Why don't you just?
To me, the guys who were most impressive at the World Juniors, and I'm not trying to sound biased here. I thought Hagens was the most impressive. I mean, Leonard and Perreault, by virtue of having the most touches on the ice, but then after that was Danny Nelson. I thought he was almost as impressive as those.
The fourth liner.
He was on the second line.
He was on the fourth line. He was a fourth liner.
2 years ago, he was on the fourth line. Last year, he was on the second line. You
were
wrong on this.
Fourth liner with
he had 9 points in juniors in the World Juniors.
TJ, could you pull up the scoring for that U.S. team, please?
He was a fourth liner.
He was
the fourth line. He was the fourth line. I'm not. All right, I've got too many comments to read. He was the fourth liner with Cole Eiserman. They were fourth line guys.
Okay, you have it wrong. Cole Eiserman started the tournament on the second line. And Cole Eiserman then got dropped off the second line. Danny Nelson did not. That's what you're getting confused. Nelson had what, 7 points, TJ? 6 or 7 points. He was like top 5 in scoring on the team.
A lot of empty netters.
I'll pull a fucking.
It's like Andrew Lee, Brock Nelson.
Just stop, Grumpy, please.
Like his other. Here's the thing. For me, I'm not trading. For a rebuilding team, there's no way you should be moving first-round picks. There is no reason.
But it's a first-round pick for a first-round pick.
I don't care. I want picks in a better draft. I want more picks in a better draft than reaching for somebody who is absolutely not performing the second half of the year.
If it is, remember Romanoff's value. We traded our 13th overall pick for Romanoff straight up.
Well, that guy's gone. for a reason.
Maybe we could package Romanoff up with a second and something else. And
Well, that's fine. Here's the thing. If you're going to tell me Romanoff and Colorado's first-round pick next year, okay, I'll do that. I'll absolutely do that.
I'd be fine with that too.
I'm not trading the Islanders' first-round pick, which is in all likelihood going to be a lottery pick.
If we move Romanoff in that scenario, that's the only way I think that this Hagens scenario can work out. You trade up to 4, you trade him there so they can immediately. Here's the thing: Utah doesn't need more and more young players.
They need left-handed defense. No, they need left-handed defensemen. They need players who could play now because they want to make the playoffs next year.
That's right. They need players who can play now. So I think from that standpoint, you give them a defenseman who's got experience, who's a veteran now in the league, who's a good left-handed defenseman. He could be a top 4 pairing for you, and you give up maybe a draft, like an ancillary draft piece as well. But you got a guy who can compete now. We're going to draft Hagens with that 4th overall pick. I'm fine with that. That works out. And in rosterbation mode on Christmas morning, that works best. Dallas McDonald, though, Grump.
Is dropping back to the 3rd pick and picking up some more assets the way to go with 3 players so close? They're not that close in talent. Schaefer,
Misa is what he wrote.
Misa and Hagens. They're not that close.
Yeah, I think Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, but Hagens is not unanimous 3 according to all the people. Like, I think Wheeler still has him at 3, if I'm not mistaken. But
yes,
or no, or does he have Martone there? I don't even know. Not everyone has Hagens at 3 anymore. He's anywhere from 3 to 6.
Long story short, if he drops a little bit and he drops to 4, I'd hit up Utah and say, we're moving Romanoff and we can give you some draft pieces. It'll help you win right now. It's better than picking up a guy who's a few years away until, being a real contributor, maybe in Hagens that you pick. Simple as that. Hagens' competition this year was much, tougher or much harder than Misa and Schaefer, and I feel people are lower on him because of it. I mean, maybe a little bit.
Maybe he just didn't play that well.
Look, this argument doesn't hold for me because every single year there are kids coming out from the OHL and there are kids coming out from college. That's just the way it is. And yes, the college kids do play against the better competition, but these scouts are trained to evaluate how these players perform at their tier of level. And no one is saying in 2025 or 2015, well, you got to go Eichel over. You got to go with Eichel over McDavid because Eichel's playing in college and McDavid's playing the OHL against children. No one was saying that, right? Of course not. No one's saying you got to go with, you can't go with John Tavares because he's playing in the OHL. You have to go with Victor Hedman. Some players play in juniors, some players play in college, some players play in Europe. They have a systematic way of evaluating how these players are when they stack them up all against each other. And the consensus is that Schaefer's the best.
There you go.
What about Curtis, Grumpy?
Do you think Grampy Lou is shitting his depends over this or what, fellas?
How upset do you think he is that the year after he leaves, they win the draft lottery like this? Or the year after he gets the boot?
This is his legacy. This is his parting gift.
Turning the Islanders into a dumpster fire, so we got lucky enough to win the lottery.
Nick kind of said here, would you trade back one spot for the Shark? Yeah, we covered that there. I wouldn't be opposed, but it has to be like a holy grail offer. And if you
Godfather offer.
A Godfather offer. If you could trade back into 4 by giving up Romanoff and other pieces, and Schaefer comes in, and that's going to be your left-handed defenseman, which is ideally what would happen in that scenario. I'm fine with that too. If you walk away with Schaefer and Hagens, and all you did was had to go ahead and give up maybe a first rounder next year from Colorado, yours this year, and maybe you give up a 3rd or 2nd round pick this year too with Romanoff, I'm fine with that. I really am. So, Fruit and Fun Adventure Company.
Once again, no notification. I just turned on YouTube to listen to something while we get ready. Recap the Sun X bachelor party. I bet you it was a drag.
No, it was fun. It was fun. JP, Grumpy. I know this isn't Islanders news, but the playoffs have been fantastic this year. A lot of really close games, a lot of entertaining games.
There's some more than others. There have been some series that have been pretty awful.
Yeah, I just don't think the playoffs have been great this year for whatever reason.
I think the Winnipeg St. Louis series was dynamite.
That was good.
Yes.
That was really good.
I thought Leafs Ottawa was a snoozer. Washington versus Montreal was a snoozer.
Carolina.
Washington versus Carolina is going to be the biggest snooze fest of any series ever. I think there's some good, there's some bad. Tampa, Florida was built to be a great series, ended up being a dud.
Yeah. I think that you're right. St. Louis and Winnipeg was the best by far.
Dynamite stuff. Dallas, Colorado was great.
That's right. That was a good one too. But those are the only ones.
Yeah.
I don't think Tampa gets the calls. I don't know why, but I don't think they get the calls. Simple as that. I'm just happy Florida's going to get knocked out by Toronto. Maybe Toronto wins the cup. Grumpy was mentioning
Maybe Toronto is good. They are good.
Phil, do you remember at the beginning of the year who was my dark horse to win the cup this year?
Toronto.
Thank you very much, Phil.
You say that
trying to poop.
Look, if I had to base it on what I'm seeing today, I would say that Edmonton is probably the favorite.
Yep, me too. I think Edmonton's coming out of the West.
At will.
Full stop. Grumpy, just yesterday you were telling me how Edmonton, they're done. They can't do anything.
I didn't say they were done.
Yes, you did.
I did not say they were done.
The first series
there is no lead safe against that team. Is the point.
That's right. That's what I'm going to say.
I said that against the Kings too. Oh man, the Edmonton
Kings should have won that series.
The Kings should have won that series.
They choked that away. Why do you think Rob Blake's not coming back?
Here's the thing. You're playing against the best, most pure, talented.
Okay, get to the next comment, please. This is an Islander podcast. Next comment, please.
Read it.
I think Edmonton versus Toronto would be a very fun Stanley Cup.
It would be fun. Freedom Fund Adventure goes, this is no goaltending on either side. This is a tremendous opportunity to build a new, dominant, fun era of Islander hockey. Make Islanders hockey fun again. I agree.
I'm down for it. I'm down for it here. John
McDonough says, if this kid is Makar, Haskin, and Light, then that has to be the pick. I want as many of the older guys gone to include odds next year for another top 5 pick. Grab your scorer in a supposedly high-end draft. That's what I want to. Thomas Antonetti goes, gents, I'm excited to have the first pick, but it seems almost hollow now if they're considering Holland as the GM and president of hockey ops. Why must it be 1 step up and 2 steps back with this organization? We heard that Holland is out as of right now. Bye-bye. Him and Fredo Jr. not in the mix.
Andre M.
Good evening, guys. Who do you think we end up with for the president of hockey ops? I really want Gorton, but Montreal said no. Well, if Montreal says no, we cannot interview him, so he's out.
Do you think it's odd that Montreal is not allowing us to interview Gordon?
I think it's also that Gordon's just not interested in leaving.
Okay. That's why I was so confused. I'm like, usually you don't see teams block the rights to interview with other members of like the hockey operation.
I think Gordon just doesn't want it. I think he doesn't want it.
And they're just doing that to be nice. Freedom, fun, and adventure, grumpy old man.
You take the best player available. Consensus is Schaefer, and the Islanders' defense stinks. My concern is, does the collarbone fully heal?
Yeah, it's a collarbone.
It's a collarbone. That's the easiest thing to.
Yeah,
it's just bone. If anything, it's
dislocated shoulders or shoulder issues like the Hughes does or anything.
Or knees. No, collarbones.
If anything, it's tougher because you got the calcified bone on top. Can't break it. And what was the rest of that comment, TJ? That you
he just mentioned that some people now have Martonet too. I haven't seen Martonet too anywhere. But
I don't see Martonet too.
For those in the medical field, I would assume when you break something, it doesn't make it stronger and impervious to break again.
Broken bone.
You argue the other way.
Not going to break that bone again. Thomas Antonetti says, I think the defenseman Schaefer must in capitals, must be the first pick for this team. D-men like that are more rare than enigmatic scorers. We can draft that route at next year's draft. 100% agree.
Yep. Ian Malloy.
I remember the last episode, I asked if the Islanders should trade up for Hagens, and Grumpy said something along the lines, well, let's wait to see what happens when they roll the ping pong balls.
Yeah.
Great.
There it is.
Adam P. says it was a Hogberg-type goal that Vegas let in. It was terrible. That game-winning goal was terrible. Matthew S. says, I'd go with Schaefer. Very good.
Yep.
Thomas Antonetti goes, do you see any way they draft Schaefer with the number one pick and then get back into the top 4, maybe trade Dobson and one of next year's first? Okay, Dobson's worth way more than a number 4 overall pick.
That's what people are floating around on social media a lot. That's why the question's being asked, because people
want to trade your best defenseman. You want to trade your best defenseman to get a tiny little center. Okay. And take Hagens. I'm out on Hagens. Sorry. Steve Erickson says Schaefer can skate like the wind, but his shot is weak. Could be Letty 2.0.
Look, I don't think Quinn Hughes has a rocket.
No.
I think he's just good at getting pucks through.
You don't have to shoot the puck 100 miles an hour.
No.
I don't need my defenseman to have a great shot. When this defenseman skates well, he's got good hands, and he can pass and distribute the puck well.
and he's
good.
he's a positive puck possession guy. He's able to drive the zone.
He'll be good on entries on the power play too.
Ryan Pulock shoots a puck over 100 miles an hour. I mean, who cares how hard he shoots a puck? He never puts on net. Doesn't matter.
Oh, man. Andrea.
The only trade I would make is with the Sharks. It would be the number one pick, San Jose, for the number 2 pick, and Sam Dickinson.
Yeah, the Sharks aren't going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Why would they trade their first round pick?
That was the offer, Sam Dickinson, and the first
round. But yeah, I would do that.
I'd sign up for that immediately. I'd say,
I think so.
Where do I sign?
They're not going to do that though.
David DeJesu says, "Yes, boys. How we draft the number 1 overall defenseman, then trade a draft pick for next season, J.G. Pajot and Romanov for Hagens." I think
we discussed that already. Something like that. Sure.
Yeah.
If you're just talking moving guys off the team for that, I'm all for that. That's fine. Nick Canetta says, "Have you guys ever seen the interview of the guy at Nassau Coliseum with the hyped rant? What you're gonna do when the New York Islanders run wild on you, baby? He looks like Grumpy. Pull it up.
A little bit. Looks a little bit like you."
Hold on a second. Okay, here you go.
Grumpy Front Adventure says, "Grumpy, if the Islanders get an additional pick, they still aren't taking Hagens. They would take Martone, Misa, and maybe another guy. Several reputable mocks have Hagens going.
Yeah, they wouldn't be trading up to number 2. They wouldn't be trading up to number 3. They would be trading up to the spot where Hagens is if he's still available.
Right. He's not going any lower than 7. That much I guarantee you.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that. That's going to be tough to find. Steve Erickson.
Misa should be the pick. 62 goals and great defensively and skates almost as well as Schaefer. Phil, any comments on that?
Oh,
I'm curious as to how all these people know how well he's played defense in the OHL. I don't know.
I don't watch enough of their games. I'm going to pretend like I watch any of their games.
I watched none of their games.
I watched the highlights just like everybody else did.
Me too.
Simple as that. I don't think anybody realistically was sinking time in saying, okay, we got to determine between Schaefer and Misa because we're going to win the draft lottery. Right? Like that probably was very low on a lot of people's lists. Everybody else is the same playing field right now. We're just watching highlights and hope we can amass a lot of information and knowledge as we're doing it along the way. Drew Grumpy.
Yeah, if this new GM doesn't pick Schaefer, I'm going to riot.
Oh, man. Okay, Brett W.
TJ, why are you feeding the trolls again? Phil.
There it is. Look at Phil. He smiles. He knows his role. Freedom Fun Adventure.
TJ, you low-life dirtbag. Respect your audience and book real guests.
Oh, no.
We like Phil. Phil's okay.
Phil's here. I'm back on hiatus, says Tony. Look at that.
Nick Canetta says, Phil, why no more podcast on Isles Fix?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping to bring it back. Tuckman lives in the parts of the greater LA area where they have to evacuate. So he's just been out of his house up until recently. So now he's back and he's got his life resettled. So we're hoping to restart it soon.
There it is. He'll be back. Matt Barzal.
Was looking forward to this show until this jerk-off Phil joins. The worst. I refer to him as the biggest sack of shit on Twitter. Matt Barzal. Hold on.
Chris Botta. Now Matt Barzal is commenting.
Is this Chris Botta's burner account?
Might be.
He came after you hard, Phil.
Nick D.
Nick D says, "Do you think Bergeron will take the Kings job?"
I don't know if they're going to offer it to him.
Well, see, that's the whole thing.
It's not clear that they're offering it to him.
They maybe want to go in a totally different direction, and that opens up the door for him to come here. It's him or Kakalainen, and those are the two guys I want. If it's Bergeron, I'd like to see Darce come in as assistant GM. Kakalainen is going to want to run the whole show himself. I'm certain of that. Oh my gosh. Tony Cheese says Phil looks like he's going through a divorce and a drinking binge.
I don't drink. Don't drink. Not going through a divorce. I've got too many kids to get divorced.
And he's got the murder board in the back.
Exactly.
Murder board. Nick Canetta says, in my opinion, all three are good options, but I'd be happy with Hagens like Misha. Meh about Schaefer. I don't know why, but I don't see it.
Well, I say once I watch, and I encourage you just to watch as much of the film as you can on it. Just watch how smooth he skates. Watch how his vision is for a kid that young. I just think it's almost like a no-brainer.
He's almost a full year younger than both of those other two guys.
Yep. Declan.
Yeah, he's like 46 weeks younger than Hagens.
Declan says, I saw something that said the Kings are going externally for new GM. Don't know how true that is.
I mean, well, Robitaille said he's going to interview external candidates, so that's probably what he saw.
Yeah. Get Bergevin in here. Get him in here. Liked what he did in Montreal.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't even dislike what Kekalainen did in Columbus.
Maybe it's not even worth considering, but Galaxy Brain and Matthew Carbone says Schaefer and Misa would make this draft
There's
a
no
legendary
feasible way to pull that off.
If we could make something like that happen, I don't even know what to tell you. That'd be great. We'd have to give up Dobson, next year's first, the Avalanche's first, Yzerman and Richie, for that kind of package. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, it just can't be
Trade into the top 5? No, you won't. I mean, the guy said to trade into the top 5. That's not true.
Oh, sorry, traded to the top 5, sure.
No, because think about it like this. Yzerman made the cutoff by also barely made the cutoff. I think he made the cutoff by 2 weeks. He's a week earlier than Schaefer. So he made it by about 2.5 weeks. If Yzerman was born in mid-September and was in this year's draft, where would he go?
25.
He would probably go
38.
There would be discussion about 7, 8, maybe.
Well, going into last year, he was like the number 1 guy until the season started.
Number 2, no, he was behind Celebrini, number 2. But his goal scoring was the best among all rookies in college hockey, and he only had 3 less points than Hagens, playing with not the same supporting cast as Hagens. I mean, you would probably be able to make a case that you could take Yzerman over Hagens based on their freshman production.
Okay, so Hagens is a no-go then. SP says, yep, Grumpy, if you listen to Isles' anxiety, his argument for taking Hagens was essentially he worked on a boat on Long Island and lived there, so we need to take him. Yeah. Just stop.
But I think that's maybe a little bit of an oversimplification, but I do feel like a lot of people like that. Brian John says, this reminds me of when it was JT versus Hedman.
No, it doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm seeing brought up here, did Misa not have a better OHL season than Tavares ever had? If true, which I believe it is, how is he not the pick? What am I missing? I think the OHL, I just think it's not the same defensive league that it used to be. I don't believe. I mean, you look at a lot of these players, they're putting up 2 points a game on average is crazy. I mean, that's for the OHL, which I still think probably plays a little bit better defense in the W and the Q. But I
don't know about the W, but for sure better than the Q. The Q is the weakest of the leagues.
Okay, what's the one thing that we really struggled with last year as a team?
Defense.
Power play, special teams.
Transitioning the puck out of the defensive zone. Couldn't do it. Had one guy who was capable of it. Everyone else was like guys who had, like the puck was a hand grenade. They could not handle it. You go for that defenseman who has the elite skill that this is what the NHL, the teams that are able to transition from defense to offense in quick, those are the teams that do really, really well. Put pressure on the other team. You do that from getting the puck out of your end. I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. And like I said, I was against the defenseman until I actually saw him play. I, of course, reserved, I can change my mind again, but as of right now. Confirmed, Misa had 134 points in 65 games. Tavares had 134 in 67. Okay. But Tavares was the consensus number 1 draft pick since he was 15.
Yeah, Tavares is UHL's all-time goal-scoring leader with 215 in 247 games. He won gold twice at the World Juniors before his NHL debut, and later on won gold at the Olympics and the World Cup. Yeah.
No reason to poo-poo on John Tavares. He was, I mean, everyone said John Tavares was the number 1 pick in that draft. Everyone.
That's correct. It's correct. Simple.
And
but
if you look at it, honestly, he's probably the second guy in that draft after Hedman.
I think it does make it easier if they made us a Godfather offer, San Jose, to move down to number 2. I really do. I think it just makes it easier. Then it's a no-brainer. You pick Misa up. Then maybe you can even trade back in to number 4 to get your Hagens in that scenario too. Hagens and Misa, Grumpy?
No. Why would you not? No. Let's say Chicago wants Misa. Why would you not make a trade back with Chicago? Pick up an extra first-round pick, drop down and get Hagens at 3. Hagens isn't as good as Misa.
No, I'm just saying you can pick up, you could trade back. Hey, who knows? They're gonna have to. They need to get a GM hired quick to figure out the direction of this. Simple as that, because there's a lot of different ways they can take this.
We're only 7 weeks away from the draft.
Okay, there was a time when Bill Torrey was general manager and Montreal offered him 4 first-round picks. You know what Bill Torrey said? F you. He drafted Dennis Potvin. The rest is history. You take the best player, period. You don't take Rogie Vachon and Gump Worsley and, a first-round pick from, the Colorado Avalanche to take Dennis Potvin. You just don't do it. Take the best player. It's always the best. For a team like this, you got to take the best player. We're short on talent. Don't give me not a Z-level prospect, but don't give me a second-tier prospect when you have the first pick in the draft. You should take the top player, period. End of sentence, end of story. Difference makers.
Continuing along here, Declan Grump.
I saw something that said the Kings are going. We already talked about that.
Oh, sorry. Okay, gotcha. Here you go. Freedom Fund Adventure.
You can trade Dobson, who, despite TJ and Grumpy's outright lies and gaslighting, had a horrific year and was not great on defense the previous year. His job is defense, and he's a liability. Dobson to San Jose for number 2, Schaefer, and something.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Tony Cheese.
Tony Cheese says, long day at the Maple Factory for him. Must be talking about you, Phil.
Long day. SP.
Schaefer all the way. I was watching his highlights yesterday. I didn't get it before. I do now. I'm in the same boat. I was hooked immediately. He's absolutely incredible. Same thing with me. That's it. I was against the defenseman. Totally against the defenseman.
Grumpy, I did find your burner account here. Joseph R.
No way on Hagens, says Joseph Rumpolo. Please, no. I don't care where he is from. Get the number 1 guy, the number 1 pick. Please take Schaefer unless you get a haul, and you won't. Take Schaefer. Go Islanders. Thank you, Joseph Rumpolo.
Rusio.
Lucio Silvaggi says, Hagens is the choice. See, first of all, his name is a mess.
No, Grumpy.
All right. No, maybe not.
Right,
Hagens is the choice. Never before and never again will there ever be an elite young player that wants to be an Islander. You can't draft Hart. Who says he has heart? He could end up being better than the other 2. He could, but he's not going to be. And I don't care that he wants to be an Islander. Do you think Anders Lee grew up wanting to be an Islander?
Kyle Palmieri's from Smithtown, so we've already had Long Island kids on the team.
And they all suck. Who was the guy? Who was the defenseman that was a Long Island boy? Montreal picked him at number 8 in one draft. Mike Kaz something. No, I forget. I don't
know. The best Long Island defensemen in the league are Charlie McAvoy's from Long Beach and Adam Fox is from Jericho.
No, this guy's retired. It was a guy. It was a guy that Montreal drafted at number 8 one year. Defenseman, wanted to play for the Islanders. He was a freaking bust. James Hagens, bust. Kyle Palmieri, F-. Adam P says, haha, screw the Lamanites. They're known as the Philistines now. Phil's going to have, I don't know how he rebuilds any credibility.
Who, me?
It's going to be a long haul.
Don't worry. I'll be fine.
Drew says, Phil and his elderly Eminem transformation ever since Lou got fired.
Eminem does have the beard. Phil's going to grow out the beard. He's going to get it all full, all filled in.
SP says, I'm no expert on it, but it seems to me like there's much more offense heavy. So we can take Schaefer, tank next year, and get a top offense.
Look, if you could get Schaefer and then somehow tank hard and get McKenna next year,
yeah,
you are set.
Would you rather have McKenna or Hagens?
I mean, it's not even close. McKenna.
Okay, that's why you don't trade next year's first-round pick.
Well, you would protect it. You would obviously protect
don't trade it, Phil.
Simple as it is, Grump, the likelihood that we're going to tank that hard next year, I'd say, is probably unlikely, right?
And even if you do, like you see, the Sharks move back.
We're not the Sharks.
No, what I'm saying is you only have a 25.5% chance if you're the lowest of getting the number 1 pick.
I feel like predicting right now that we're going to win next year's draft lottery too.
Yeah, we're going to get McKenna?
Yep.
I'd be excited about McKenna.
Unless we trade the pick for somebody like James Hagens.
some new guy's going to pop up on the list that's going to be even more valuable because we need to stick with whoever is more valuable at the beginning of the year. Let's go Hagens, Grumpy.
No one's going to eclipse McKenna.
A Hagens supporter.
Look, Hagens was the consensus one for a while in a draft that everyone knew wasn't
weak.
Yeah. No one was ever like, he is a can't miss talent. He is like, it wasn't like that with him. Like, you stack him up against Celebrini, it's not close.
Not close. Not even close. Not even close.
But if we trade for him, I'm going to be hyping him up like he's the best thing ever. So
I know. I'm going to say he blows. Green Fund Adventure says, lots of speculation, but not certain I want Holland. Nobody does. I don't know if the plan changed to hire separate guys for president GM. Maybe you hire one guy and he hires a GM. I want Darsh type as GM with a vet GM as president. Same thing here. Bergevin and Darsh.
Absolutely here. Going along here, Adam P.
Phil is the only customer for Malkin's shop.
Well, he doesn't own the shops. He rents them out.
Oh, wow.
To different stores.
Oh, look at that. Phil's defending Malkin, defending the whole shopping center. SP says, regardless of who we get, our prospect pool gets significantly better. I agree. But I want me.
Yeah, no matter. Yeah, they're going to be, when they re-rank the prospect pools before the season, the Islanders will be in the top 10.
Yep. Absolutely.
Close to it anyway, even if they don't. Jake from San Diego says, can you guys remind me what happened to the Rangers pick? I was so ecstatic with our pick that I forgot what happened to their pick. They're picking a number 11.
Well, we don't know where they're picking. Well, no, they would be picking.
If they make the determination to give
it wouldn't be 11, it would be 12 because it got bumped back.
That's right, by Ottawa, by Utah. Right.
So 48 hours before, they need to give Kyle Dubas a call and let him know if they are giving him number 12 or keeping it. Look, if they give Kyle Dubas the pick, what does it say about their confidence going into next season?
They don't think they're going to be very good.
They don't think they're going to be very. That's right.
Yep. I'm moving this year's pick.
I would too.
Next year's a better.
You cannot go with an unpredictable, because look, the Rangers finishing at 11th last again is within the range of outcomes. It is.
Or the draft is so much deeper. Let's say you pick 20.
Right, 20 next year is probably better than 12 this year.
Yes. Yeah. It's right. It's to me, you give up this year's draft pick.
Yeah.
There you go. Declan.
If he wants to be an Islander so bad, pull a Isaac Howard. Side note, let's get him.
Grumpy does not like Isaac Howard.
He doesn't want to sign with Tampa, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to sign with Tampa, which I don't understand. I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Weird.
What's wrong with Tampa?
Was he the Hobie Baker this year?
Yeah, he was. Hobie Baker.
He's a great player.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why he wouldn't sign with Tampa. It just makes no sense to me.
Trade our second-round pick for Isaac Howard.
Why am I seeing a lot of the Islanders, Isaac Howard targets NHL breakthrough as the Islanders pursue a deal? Are the Islanders actually trying to get Isaac Howard?
There's nothing solid on that. But look, if Howard wants to look at the Islanders and say, all right, they've got Yzerman, they got Ritchie, they're getting the first overall pick here. Yeah, maybe I want to be part of that, and I'm going to get playing time because they've got a bunch of older veterans who are now on expiring deals, like Pajot and Lee and Suzuki. Like, there's reason for someone like him to think that he could be an impact guy on the Islanders. So if they want to trade a second-round pick to Mr. Brisebois and pick up Isaac Howard, who is going to be in the NHL next year, I think, by all means do it.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with something like that. Darsh and Bergevin, let's go. Drew Grumpy.
By the way, I just want to tell Phil that I think Ilya Sorokin is God.
Okay.
There it is. Ledecky.
He says Ledecky is still the cheerleader.
There it is. DLS.
A broken clock is right more dearly than Phil's fiction. Wow.
That's pretty funny.
Matt Carbone says, I wouldn't pick Hagens. I don't care what team he was a fan of. Not at number one. Let's make John Tortorelli the GM.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be awful.
No. Could you imagine him and Wah? Oh. Come on. Ponyboy Curtis says, I can't stop laughing at myself. Holy crap, Grumpy. That was freaking good. Thank you for the something.
A++++.
A+++ tier comedy. That's what I'm here for. Entertainment.
There it is.
John McDonough.
McDonough.
No, it's not me.
It's
Maybe
McDonough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is a good question. I want to see. So I saw the January rankings had Schaefer at 2. I want to see what last summer's rankings were.
When Hagens was the consensus number 1, was Schaefer the consensus number 2?
I'll take a look at
Where did he
that.
come out of nowhere? Yeah, we'll look at the summer spot there. Steve Erickson.
Misa is good defensively with a great shot and wheels. Said he's like a better Tavares who can skate. Okay, I don't think the hype around him is anything like it was for Tavares.
No, the hype around Tavares was unreal.
Huge.
Youngest player to come and to play in Yo, I believe it was. Like he
had that exceptional status, but Misa had that also. He's only the 6th guy to have that, and all the other 5 guys are pretty good. Freedom Fundamental goes, TJ, once again, you failed to do the research. Dowdy is 6'1", 210. So Schaefer at 6'2" definitely can be bigger than Dowdy if he lifts heavy, unlike you, Grumpy, and Dobson. Oh, man.
Okay. Here's the thing. He doesn't have a frame that puts a lot of weight on. That's what I mean by you look at it. Dowdy's a frame that could pack weight on.
He's much more sturdy.
This kid is like this. That's fine. He's just not built to hold weight. You look at him. Declan
says trading up is fine. Grumpy, you're overdoing it big time. Hagens is not bad. He's just not number 1 or 2. Trading up to 4 would be awesome, assuming the cost isn't absurd. Yeah, I'm not giving up first-round draft pick. I'm not giving up our first-round draft pick next year. I'll just say that. I want as many kicks at the can next year in a much better draft than just a 1-year, hey, let's pleasure ourselves and get James Hagens because he likes the Islanders. No.
Okay.
I look at the big picture. I look further than the end of my nose. Mr. Jamspan says, isn't Schaefer the safer pick? Tough to judge a guy based on 17 games.
He did well in the international stage.
He was really good in the
years
international.
prior, but like he made a big jump.
Steve Erickson says, watch the Misa tape. He's going to be a 40-goal Selke candidate.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to watch more Misa too, but
SP says, Elite Prospects has been salivating over Schaefer for months.
put over Curtis.
Speak about the Cuck brothers. They copied your guy's swag. They started some dog crap podcast and read off comments from people in the chat and pulled them off the same screen as you guys.
Well, I don't think.
Yeah, because they're freaking losers. They're both losers.
Drew.
They tried to get us canceled. Believe me something. Those days are over. People of your ilk have no power anymore. You losers.
Drew.
You says. Plus, the upside with Schaefer is but you know what? I understand why they did that, honestly, because I told them when I talked to them, the thing about your podcast is that it's really boring and no one wants to listen to it. That's why I walk around the neighborhood. If I had a gun, I listened to their show one time. If I had a gun, I would have blown my brains out listening to their tripe. They suck.
Next comment, Grumpy.
Okay, do you want to hear? I found it. Pronman's July 1 rankings.
Yes.
Number 1, James Hagens. Number 2, Porter Martone. Number 3, Roger McQueen. Number 4, Anton Frondel. Number 5, Jacob Wozniak. I don't even know who that is.
He's gone.
He's gone. Where is he now, that guy? Is he even like in the conversation anywhere?
I don't know. I don't have anything pulled up on him. He's not in the top. He's not in the
Number
top
6,
15.
Ivan Ryabkin. He's not around either, right?
Nope.
Number 7, Matthew Schaefer.
Okay.
What he said about him back then, he has good skills and playmaking ability, although I don't think his pure offensive touch is what you would get too excited about him. His main asset is his skating. Powerful, effortless skater who will be able to close gaps and transition up ice at a clear NHL level. He projects as a strong two-way pro defenseman. Number 8 was Misa. Number 9 is a Logan Hensler, who I've not heard from. I just want to see where they had Denoye. He had Denoye at 15, O'Brien at 16. Yeah, I mean, so these things when they're like 16 years old,
yeah,
they change a lot.
They change. They change.
You're Grumpy.
Yeah, well, like they had Victor Eklund at 32, and now Victor Eklund is 9-ish.
Yeah, he's way up there now. Drew says, plus the upside with Schaefer is that he's likely the youngest player in the draft. So we'll practically gain an extra year out of him. It's not even that we gain a year out of him. It's the fact that he's going to develop so much more, physically in particular, right?
By the way, update. Rantanen has another hat trick for the Dallas Stars tonight. You talk about a guy who in Game
He's
7,
on a heater.
I mean, he strapped the team to the back, to knock out Colorado, the X team. And did he have a hat trick in that game too?
He did, yeah. He had the empty netter to get the hat trick.
Another hat trick tonight. Again, like as much hate as Rantanen received, I mean, that guy comes up in big moments. He definitely shows up sometimes. Pontyberg Curtis.
Winnipeg just pulled within one. Can we talk about what a masterclass that Nelson trade has ended up being for us?
No.
Yes, we can.
Well, just 1 second. I was going to say that he got a Anders Lee hat trick, the empty net goal at the end, but Anders Lee's never had a hat trick. So I kind of have to take that back.
He's never had a hat trick? Yes, he did. He had one against Columbus.
I don't think
Yes,
his first career hat trick was against Columbus 3 years ago.
Was it an empty? No, he's only had one then. Is it an empty netter?
It was an empty netter. No, all of them were on the goalie, but I remember it. I remember watching that game, and then I'm like, wow, that's his first career hat trick? That's pretty crazy.
That doesn't fit my narrative.
I know it doesn't.
Okay, Phil, so go ahead. Touch on a master class. Is this where you get yourself in trouble with guys like Chris
class? Look, the bottom line is this. No matter how you slice it, ultimately Lou will have left us in a wonderful spot from a farm system standpoint, from an asset standpoint, and our future is brighter because of Lou. And I just want to take some time to thank him. I want to thank him for all he's done for us. He's leaving us in a great spot. Callum Ritchie is going to be a stud. There are some, like Frank Cervalli, who compare him to Patrice Bergeron. So we basically got Bergeron, a 2026 first for Brock Nelson to score 0 goals in the playoffs. That is an epic masterclass performance by Lou, and we should love and appreciate that.
Actually, the person who we should be thanking is Brock Nelson, because if it wasn't for him saying, I'm not signing back, he would have signed back.
He was never taking that offer. That offer was insulting to Brock Nelson.
That's the only reason he moved him. The only reason.
They forced a super low ball offer, and that was it.
Well, no, he doesn't get credit for that, Phil. Sorry.
I'll tell you this. It did help, obviously, that you win. When you win the draft lottery, that helps.
We don't win the draft lottery without Lou. That's the bottom line.
Yep. Him getting fired gave the league the go-ahead to let us win the lottery. It's like as soon as they fired that little black rain cloud, all of a sudden the skies opened up and everything's bright in Islander country again. Ponyboy Curtis says, question for you, Grumpy. Is it fair to say you were a little harsh a couple of years back on Holmstrom and that he succeeded your lowly expectations? That is fair. I was a little harsh on him, but you know what? He had to come up to the big team and get coached by Patrick Waugh to turn it to anything. When I saw him live, he absolutely sucked. But you know what? Maybe it's the fact because of the disaster that is Bridgeport, run by Fredo Lamarillo. And Brent Thompson was still the head coach at that time. He absolutely improved this year, and I believe I've already given him his flowers. He's not a guy I'd move. He doesn't make enough money. He's fine. He's fine. He'll never be great, but he's fine. And he has exceeded my expectations, which were 0. So, yes, the fact that he's playing in the league means that he has exceeded my expectations.
There it is. Here you go, Grumpy. You looking for that little?
I can do my own clap. Thank you.
Declan, Grumpy, chill out. He's the youngest kid in the NCAA. Talking about James Hagen.
I don't care.
Goon.
After watching sludgy, mediocre Islanders hockey for the past few years, what a pleasure watching these NHL playoffs have been. Is it okay if I smile or grin?
I mean, it's all a matter of which series you're watching. If anyone watched like the Devils Carolina series and thought that was like a pleasure to watch, I thought it was a horrible series.
Yeah. I
thought that first game last night, I mean, Washington just got their teeth kicked in over and over. And I don't think they had the puck for more than 5 minutes.
SB says, you think teams want to just give away their top 5 pick? When's the last time a team traded out of the top 5? I can't remember. It never happens.
I can't think of top 5 off the top of my head. I know that
7.
Ottawa traded pick 7. That's right. For DeBrincat. DeBrincat. That's the one that recently comes to mind.
And that was a lot at the time period.
It was it was pick 7 and pick 33 for DeBrincat.
Right.
So something like that. Maybe even another later pick. I'm trying to think of other ones. can't think of any.
Yeah, very rarely the team trade out of it.
Well, I mean, the reason is because, what's unique about Utah is really team 14. They're not really team 4. So the teams that are usually in the top 5 don't usually have, or are not usually in the position that Utah's in. Utah could use win now pieces. Utah could win guys who could get them into the playoffs. So if they get a compelling offer for it, I think they'll move the pick. Whereas if you look at a team like San Jose, they're still stockpiling. If you look at a team like Nashville, they're starting to stockpile. Philadelphia's still stockpiling. So it has to be a unique circumstance where a team like Utah jumped up to where they are now. Or the other team's getting a player like Alex DeBrincat, where they think, and that ended up not working out well at all for Ottawa, but they tried.
And, the fact is that, when you're a new owner, like they are in Utah, second-year owner, they want to be better. They want to make the playoffs. And, maybe a guy like, Romanoff is not the answer, but if they're stupid enough to take him, put him on the Mammoth, maybe that works out for them.
When you look at what Utah's done, I mean, when they were formerly the Arizona Coyotes, in 2021, they had 1 first-round pick, 3 second-round picks. In 2022, they had 3 first-round picks, 2 seconds. And
they're loaded with prospects. They're loaded with young talent. They've got a lot of really good guys.
Yeah, I was about to say. And in 2024, 2 first-round picks, a second and 2/3. They've drafted a lot. They have a lot of players. They are absolutely looking to say, okay,
Keller is still pretty young. Genther is nasty. Cooley's disgusting. They've got a lot of really good young.
Oser's young. Josh Doan is young. Like, you look at it, like Cooley's young. Gecky's young. There's a lot of young players. Geeky. There's only so many.
Jersey's good. That was a good trade they made there.
Let's say Dobson does not want to sign back.
Sure.
Because I think as a new GM, your first thing is you want to get him locked up long-term, right?
Okay.
So if he says, yeah, I'm not interested, I just want to sign a 1-year deal, I would consider moving him to number 4.
You have to.
You
have to.
And then, but you can get, here's the thing, he's worth more than just the 4th overall pick in the draft.
I agree.
A 25-year-old number 1 defenseman on that team, he certainly would be. Guy who's had 70 points in the season, he's worth more than one first-round draft pick.
Yes.
Maybe a 1 this year and a 1 next year. That I'd be willing to consider. Why? Because I'm not giving up any draft. I'm not giving up any draft capital. You're going to get another first-round pick next year. Maybe the Mammoth or a lottery team next year. Maybe they're not. But you want more kicks at the can next year in a deeper draft. That's the only way I'm really considering trading back with Hagens. Gungun says, Phils, do you consider yourself a provocateur or merely full of manure?
Just give real world opinions. That's all. People can't handle the truth. He considers
himself a provocateur. Everyone else considers him full of manure. Matthew S. says Schaefer is not playing in the NHL for at least 2 years. So?
Okay, it's probably 1 year. He's probably
1 year. Yes, I agree.
It'll be 1.
If that, yeah. I was about to say SP.
Let's say we still had the 10th overall pick. That would have made it easier to jump because we could give Dobson and the Abs first round pick next year. No, if they want to get in the top 5, you don't need to give up that much to move up 5 spots.
I think again, like, as much as I think Islander fans are upset with Dobson's performance, a defenseman who's put up 70 points 2 years ago or last year, I mean, like, you're going to get paid. A guy who's consistently over 40 points, that's a substantial amount because it's a proven entity that exactly what it is. It's not like you're rolling the dice on him.
The rest of the league values him a lot more than Islander fans. That much I'll tell them.
I do agree with that. I absolutely do agree with that. Yes, I do agree with that. Ruscio, Grumpy. Yeah, Hagens. Oh, maybe I've done this already.
You already did that one. I remember I had an aneurysm. John Joaquin says, if having to pay for a president of hockey ops and a separate GM is an issue, then the owners aren't serious about turning it around. I agree, John.
I think they are serious about it. As much as I've been critical of them, I don't think they're the Property Brothers. They finally got rid of Lou. I think maybe they do care about the overall success of the team. Depends on what we do with this GM hire. That's for certain. You go freedom, fun, and adventure.
Grumpy, is your real name Lou Sanders? You hire sons when they don't deserve it. You puff up one son when he isn't even that great, X, and pretty much ignore Shiloh, TJ. You also are a tireless self-promotee. I will say I am a tireless self-promotee. I absolutely have an ego bigger than any one thing that you could possibly know, but I am great. Son X is good people. and TJ's just freaking. He's like TJ is TJ. He's Captain
X is
Chaos.
like Shador Sanders. X is like Shador Sanders, and I'm like Silo Sanders. Okay, fair enough. I like the criticism there. Mr. B.
Mr. B. Not many GMs ever get a number one pick. This should be a game changer to bring in a top candidate. Bring in the 1980s Isles All-Star, Trottier, Kenny Morrow, and Nystrom. All those guys would do right by the Islanders and would not make it about themselves. Okay, I don't know what he's.
I don't even know what he said. I can't figure that out either.
Now, here's the thing. Bobby Nystrom wants to be an Islander. Should we draft him at number one as opposed to, somebody else? No.
Isles 91 says here, they overpaid equals Lou negotiated well. Okay, I will say this. I would give him much more credit for the negotiation of that deal if I'd noticed that was a trend. When you look at the trades, we usually historically have been underpaid, and that one looks like we definitely got overpaid. So that deal we worked out, but when you're giving up guys like Devon Taves for 2 second-round picks to Colorado and it launches them into a cup, it kind of changes a little bit of the perspective. Declan.
Slightly different topic to mention. Nyes is looking like the real deal. No way they can pay him and Marner, right?
Yes, they could. Yes, they can. They absolutely can.
How far do you go in free agency to get him?
Why can't they pay Nyes and Marner?
I'd rather have Nyes than Marner.
Yeah, I think so too.
I would.
I'd rather have Nylander than literally anyone on that roster.
Yep. Michael Moisa says, Phil, stop reading my tweets on the air without credit.
What is this about, Phil? Are you reading Mike's tweets there?
He was the one who asked the question to Byron Bader.
Who's Byron Bader again? I'm sorry.
The hockey prospecting guy who asked this. Mike's the one who asked Byron why Hagens slipped so far down.
Oh, okay. So Mike is the one who got that tweet of how he fell off like a rock. Yeah. Okay, Mike's doing.
Well, he got the answer. Phil did not say he asked Mr. BB. He didn't ask him. He didn't say that. But Michael, thank you for asking that question. Gave us some show content.
There it is. Matthew
S. says, isn't it ironic that 13 was the winning number? Yeah.
Here's something that someone put out today. Which players are most likely to change their numbers now? I can see Dobson going back to 45, right?
Why?
Why would he go back to 45? I feel like everybody's just
45 that was his number. Oh no, yeah, I think he was 45, right?
I don't see anybody changing their numbers.
I predicted one. I predicted that the new general manager is going to trade Casey Cizikas and Horvat is going to get his 53 back.
Okay. Next comment. Tommy Baffy says, for all the people.
I know that's what Grumpy's really interested in. What number is Pierre Engvall going to wear next year? Is he going to switch back to 47?
I don't even know what Pierre Engvall's number is now.
18.
Yeah, he blows. Tommy Baffy says, for all the people screaming to trade the pick and trade down, the last time the number one pick overall was dealt was 22 years ago. Florida flipped 1-3 with Pittsburgh for a paltry return, and the Penguins selected Marc-Andre Fleury. And I believe the Panthers got Nathan Horton in that deal. Or was it Jay Bouwmeester? Or was Bouwmeester number one overall? I don't remember.
No,
it might have been Horton. They traded
Horton. And I'll tell you
Nash went 2, I think, in that trade.
I'll tell you this much. It definitely worked out better for Pittsburgh on that side.
Yeah. Okay, but what Tommy needs to realize, and what all these people need to realize, and I just brought it up a moment ago with Utah, is this is the first time 10 jumped to 1 in history. Right? This is not the same circumstances, just like teams that sucked so hard and they're at the bottom.
This is the first time the 10th overall team or the 10th spot jumped to number 1.
I think this is the biggest jump in history, is what I read.
Wow. Okay.
What did the Rangers jump from when they went to 1, and the Devils went from 9?
The Rangers, it was different because the format of that was they had 8 teams. And each of them had a percentage. And then the 8 teams that were invited to the play-in tournament to be in the playoffs had a collective 20 or 25% or something like that. So the ball that came out was the collective of teams 9 through 16. And then when those teams were eliminated from the bubble, they had 8 ping pong balls in a thing. So it was just very different. In terms of jump, though, I'm trying to remember where I saw it.
It doesn't matter. I'll take your word for it, Phil. I catch you lying on other things. This one's not enough for me to fact check you on. Declan says, Grumpy, shut up. Everything you're reading about the hard no is because we're picking number 1 that had nothing to do with his skill. Amazing, amazing player. But Danny was no doubt second liner, and Danny was a no doubt second liner.
Yeah,
I
Grumpy-
bet
Grumpy
when
just fucking
Danny
said.
Nelson comes into the league, he's going to be a bottom 6 guy. Book it.
Probably.
Book it.
Put him for Curtis.
If someone would have told me a month ago we were kicking lackluster Lou to the curb and getting the first overall pick, he would have pooped his pants.
I agree.
I found it. I found the tweet. The Islanders moving from 10-1 is the biggest jump for a team to first overall in NHL Draft Lottery history. From its inception in 1995 until 2014, teams couldn't move more than 4 spots. The biggest jump ever, in terms of totality, is Philadelphia, who jumped from 13 to 2 in 2017.
And
But
look
the
what
biggest jump to, but this is the biggest jump to 1 in NHL history.
Wow. Hey, it's nice to see the Islanders get benefit from that.
That's right.
Drew.
Drew says you'll find a lot with Grumpy unless it's football, baseball, or hockey. Grumpy just makes wild takes like Colin Coward.
Good Tommy B.
He says Martone is a nice looking power forward. I don't care if he's pretty or not. Can he play?
Vasilevsky was brutal in the Tampa, Florida series.
True.
And I'm taking Edmonton or Dallas for the cup, says SB. Freedom Fund Adventure.
You know, Colorado has cap issues and some roster issues. May we step back, right back in?
And may take
They
a
take
step
a step back, right? Oh. I think they'll be okay. Tommy Backer says Dobson had a weak shot. When he was drafted, he improved it a lot.
Absolutely. TJ Andrews.
Not really sure the right choice, but doesn't Kenny Morrow deserve an interview for president? No. I love Kenny Morrow, but no. I mean, he had 2 jerseys that had been hanging in his closet for a long time. He put them in his living room. They probably told him 10 minutes before, hey, Kenny, you got to represent the team. He put 1 white jersey, 1 blue jersey on 2 chairs on the side of his thing. And then when they win, he brought out an old beat-up Islanders hat from 1984. Mr. Jamspan says, what return do we get in a trade for Barzal? I don't think they're moving him.
They're not moving him.
I'd have to assume it would be substantial. SSE.
Hagen's a nice story, but that's not enough.
Neil says, should Neil Smith get any play as a president with a young GM?
Okay, did you guys watch the video of that fan who made his impassioned plea for James Hagens?
No. Send it to me. This is on Twitter.
It's on Twitter. It's a little long. It's not like it's like 6 minutes.
Oh God.
We don't need to watch the whole thing. But I just want Grumpy, and then we'll end with this because I gotta go to bed. We'll end with this because I need Grumpy to. Everyone's weighing in on it.
Grumpy, read the rest of this and we'll weigh on this real quick.
Damn, Grumpy, you skipped your 4 p.m. bedtime to be on live. Thank you.
Grumpy usually up until 4 a.m. It's actually the opposite. That's why he can't pull himself out of bed until 1 p.m.
Dude, I'm up. I'm probably up before you.
Okay, TJ, check your DMs and
reading his words after he's talking all that shit about the Knicks. The Knicks are up 2-0 over the Celtics. The Celtics had a big lead. They blew the lead again.
Once.
They're down. They lost the first 2 games at home. Defending world champion.
All right. Grumpy, here we're gonna watch this and then I'm gonna go. But
oh God,
don't chime in every 10 seconds. We'll break it down into let's say 90-second segments. So just hold it in because I know Grumpy's gonna go over the edge here.
It's difficult for me.
I know. Just we'll count to 90 and then you'll jump in and then we'll pause it and then go ahead.
Who's this guy? Is that James Hagen's dad?
It might be.
All right. Let's break down this James Hagens Schaefer Misa situation here, all right? Let's rewind 6 months.
He's got a flat
World Junior Championships. James Hagens is clearly the best player on Team USA. I'm looking for Yzerman every night, and all I'm seeing is James Hagens, the younger James Hagens, every night. Hagens is here. Hagens is there. He's in on every scoring play, it seems like. He's all over the ice. Now, fast forward 6 months. These draft rankings fluctuate like the wind. The Schaefer kid breaks his collarbone. What, he played 22 games? He doesn't 17. Even play. At the time of the World Juniors, Hagens is pretty much considered the #1 draft eligible prospect.
Not true.
Schaefer does not play.
All right, Grumpy, you're going to have to chill, okay?
I can insert little things.
We want to hear this guy, not you.
Basically, since then, right? I don't know the exact date of the injury. It might have been during the World Juniors, right?
It was.
He somehow jumps up to #1.
He was 1 before then.
and Misa jumps up there too. Listen, Misa's a dominant junior player. But just remember, these guys are very young. The draft rankings, they jump all over the place all the time. If you waited 6 months, if you waited another 6 months for this draft, you could have someone at 5 right now jump up to 2 or even 1. I'm telling you, that's how it works. So let's be very careful about how we galaxy brain this thing, because there's this like pseudo-intellectual elite portion of this fan base. And I'm not going to say it's all young people, because it's not. There's a lot of smarty pants that are my Gen X smarty pants people too.
You're the one wearing a flat brim cap,
like
brother.
the young people, so they play this whole
pause it.
snobby little geeky.
Grumpy, you got to stay quiet.
Okay, here's the thing. This guy, okay, he wants a rip on Gen X. He's wearing a flat brim cap. He loses all credibility. What kind of grown man wears a flat brim cap? So, right there. And everything he said was wrong. That's why I was chiming in. He was not the consensus #1 pick.
Roll the tape.
Grumpy, quiet, please. Quiet.
I don't need to hear from James
All right,
Hagens.
Grumpy, quiet, please. Quiet, Grumpy. Let's listen.
Right? Now, listen, I love Schaefer and I love Misa too. But again, let's not galaxy brain this thing. Okay? If I would have told you 6 months ago, I've seen the future, the Islanders are going to have their opportunity to draft James Hagens. And you would be like, what are you talking about, bro? They're not going to tank. They're not going to be that. Shh. They're going to have their opportunity. You would have said, that guy's crazy. But sometimes the weirdo on the corner mumbling to himself is crazy. And what if he's right? What if he's right? What if we do have the opportunity to draft James Hagens? A kid who worked on the Captain Lou party boat.
Oh my God. Stop. No, I don't need to hear anything else. I don't need to hear anything else.
Yes, you do.
I knew it.
This is the comedy portion. You know what? I don't laugh that much during the week. I need laughs. So that's why I'm doing this. It's only 3 more minutes. Come on.
Oh my God, 3 more minutes. This guy's a clown.
Let's
This is Lou's grandson.
Grumpy, let's hold on. Let's listen here.
My God.
A kid who worked on the Captain Lou party boat fleet out of Freeport. A kid who grew up on Long Island, where probably 3 out of 4 kids who played midget,
shut up.
Kid hockey on Long Island grow up as Ranger fans. And they filter into the NHL almost every single season. And then you read these dumb articles. Maybe the Islanders can get Pinto. I think Pinto grew up a Penguins fan. Because they always find a reason.
What kind of fan he is.
It's not the cool thing. And now you have a kid. For the first time in the history of the National Hockey League, you're going to have a kid and his family who, if they do not get drafted by the New York Islanders, are going to be crushed.
They're going to be crushed, Grumpy.
Right
Who
things.
cares? Good.
No.
Commence with the crushing.
Grumpy, what? Grumpy.
I want a car crusher out in front of their house with them in the thing, and when they get picked, bang, hit the button. Crush them.
Grumpy, what about being crushed, though, Grumpy?
This guy's a moron. Look at the hat. I just can't get past the hat.
We don't want them to be crushed, Grumpy.
Grumpy, I want you to close your eyes then. Close your eyes.
Okay, his whole thing is why they should draft him is because he's an Islander fan. This is one of those loser Islander fans. Sorry.
It's not Galaxy.
And for anyone listening to the show,
that's funny. He is totally Galaxy. Okay, TJ, just roll the end.
All right, Grumpy, let's see.
Does it get worse?
Chicago has some real exciting young talent, and it's a great city, and I'm really excited, but you're going to see the sadness behind his eyes. And then, you know what? Maybe in 7 years, you can sign him as a UFA. Or maybe he'll feel heartbroken and betrayed. He'll move to another city, and he's going to forget about his island. Like so many of our young people do. They forget about their island.
Oh, my God.
It struck me maybe 10 years ago. There was a young man. I remember him moving to Dallas, and he put all these ads on Twitter. Islander jerseys for sale. He was just forgetting about his island. He was selling all his stuff because apparently if you live in Dallas, you can't be an Islander fan anymore.
Wow.
Don't let that happen to this kid.
His wife kicked him out of the house.
Bring it home. If you play in Minnesota or you play in Ontario, if you're a fan of those teams, there's kids in those drafts every year. Misa is he's from Ontario, right? He's from like the Toronto area. You sure you want to do this again with a Toronto kid? Now in this environment with the Leafs as good as they are,
you
want to draft this kid, and from day one, you're going to trust that he's not thinking about getting the hell out of here?
He listens to Al's anxiety.
You want to go through that again? Am I being a pussy about it?
Yes,
you know what? Guilty as charged.
Yeah, that's right.
Being a pussy about it.
That's right.
So, you know what? You can galaxy brain this thing all you want, and you can think you're the smartest guy in the room all you want. But Hagens could be the best player in the draft, too.
He won't be.
That's also there. And he could be a kid who's never going to bolt in UFA, who's probably going to take hometown discounts.
They go where the money is. They're not taking hometown discounts.
The rivalry is dead with the Rangers. This team lays down against the Rangers.
So
you don't need to watch anymore. It's fine, but you get the point.
Oh my God, this guy's pathetic.
We have to bring him in to restore the rivalry.
You're going to see the hurt and pain.
Good. That's what I want to see. I want to see that.
It's going to be like Eli Manning holding the Chargers jersey. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh well.
That's what it's going to be.
It's so ridiculous. Honestly, I know why his wife left him. Honestly, I know why.
All right. Oh man, hold on. They doubted me when I said it. TJ, you owe me an apology. This was literally a massive rant on Islanders anxiety. That's where the guy got this from.
Right, I got to check out, guys, but it's been fun.
All right, Phil, we'll talk.
See you later, Phil. Okay, well, thank you. I'll apologize there. SP is a good little clip there. I'm glad. But I like how he says we don't need to galaxy brain this, and then absolutely proceeds to galaxy brain this. And CJ says here, "What's up, guys? Have you missed me? Yeah, man, good to have you back, buddy. Good to have you back." Red Lupin Power Ranger.
The Red Lupin Power Ranger.
Simple as this: you draft the best player available. Like, he wants to stay here. He wants to do this. He wants to that. You know what gets people wanting to stay for the team that they're playing for?
You win.
Winning Stanley Cups.
And you get paid.
Pay them. That's usually the two primary objectives that players have. Simple. So, anywho, Grumpy, let's wrap things up here today. We're at the end of the show. 2.5 hours in. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're wrapping things up. What do you want to say before we end the show?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't. From TJ, the grumpy old man, and Phil's Facts.
That's right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show. We'll be live with you guys this Saturday, probably a little later, Grumpy, and we may have a guest on. We may have a guest on, Grumpy old man. We're trying to have guests on here this off season. The listeners of the show demand it. They want it. They want to listen. They want to have guests on the show.
Okay, you want to have guests on the show. You want to. Let's be honest, it's you. Because you don't care what anybody thinks unless it's something you want.
Leave it in the comments below if you want to see guests on the show this summer. Let us know.
Okay, I'm just saying that when you want something to happen, it happens. Don't try to say that it's the people who you all of a sudden you're Mr. Magnanimous and the people want something because you don't care about that.
I'm going to need to see a lot of posts because I showed Grumpy this last time and he just was completely like ignoring it. But
you showed me one post.
People want to have guests on the show. If you want to see guests on the show, look, here you go. Matthew S. says, Andy Francis. Yeah, people want to have guests back on the show, Grumpy. If you want to have guests on the show, let us know. Get on roster. Look at this, Grumpy. People want to see guests on the show. Simple as that. They do. They want to see guests on the show. And Grumpy doesn't like guests. I don't know why, but he doesn't. He likes it just live in his little bubble.
I don't like to share the spotlight with anyone.
I know. That's what it really is. You get upset. Yeah. Phil brings great vibes and laughter. Rosner is a great listen, though, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to have a show this Saturday. I've got a wedding to attend to, so be leaving that hopefully a little early, but we should have our show just be a little later, maybe so closer to maybe that 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time. But guys, thank you so much for watching. We had to get a little impromptu surprise emergency podcast when we won the draft lottery, guys. It's awesome. I'm on cloud 9. Things can't get better. We can make the right GM selection here, and I'll just be elated. But thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Thank you, Grumpy, as always. Grumpy, anything else you want to add before we end the show?
No. Nope. They could get worse, though.
It could.
The wrong GM pick.
It could. But thank you guys so much for watching the show, listening to the podcast, and we'll be with you guys next time.